Ladies and gentlemen, happy Thursday. Happy women's quarterfinals Thursday, which is half the reason we're doing this. Pretty credible first two games. Safe, your Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, first Final Four in school history.
For D1, right? We had a few
Yeah.
good ones before, but yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. Big up to the women's lacrosse team. I love it. Yeah, hopefully the boys match. But yeah, shout out to Tim McCormick. Absolutely, just been doing a great job since joining the program. And I mean, I was thinking last time there's double up. I guess I always distinctly remember North Carolina, 2016. Right? They both won, not just got there.
Maryland did
Maryland's
22.
probably a bunch recently.
Yeah, quite a few times.
Was there ever the 02? Did a women win 02? Yeah, right. Reese.
I mean, the men and women the won the championship. Yeah, it's happened a couple times. It's Maryland did it in 2017. UNC did it in 2016. UNC did it in 2016. I don't think Cuse made the women's Final Four last year because Cuse has kind of been Cuse women have made it a couple times. Boston College and Northwestern obviously don't have men's programs, but it's happened a couple times. Hopkins has a chance to do that. Northwestern, speaking of Northwestern, they won their quarterfinal in overtime over Colorado. That was another crazy game. And then Navy and Maryland are playing right now. Navy just took the lead 9-8 on Maryland in College Park. So we've had a last-second buzzer beater win. We've had Colorado actually tied the game in the last 5 seconds to send that game to overtime, but then Northwestern took it in overtime. And now we have another one that looks like it's going to go down the wire. Stanford and UNC is going to start at 7:30, which will probably be live for the first half of. And so we're going to react to some of those, and we're going to talk the men's quarterfinals, which will be taking place this weekend in Hofstra and Newark. Hofstra Saturday, Hopkins, Notre Dame at 12 o'clock. 3 o'clock, I guess, whenever they start the second quarterfinal, will be Carolina and Cuse. It's a big one. And then Sunday, perhaps the main event of the weekend, is at 12 o'clock between Princeton and Penn State. No one was really excited for that one. And then Georgetown and Duke to finish us off at about like 3 o'clock there. Will be the first the winner of that will be the first unseeded team to make the Final Four since Towson, 2017. There's a chance for 2 unseeded teams to make which I don't think has ever happened. I don't think we've ever had 2 unseeded. Wait, hang on. Did 2011 have it? That tournament was kind of wide. No, didn't have it in 2011. Maryland was unseeded in 2011. And it made it. We had a run there in the 2010s with quite a few unseeded teams. But there we go. 2 unseeded teams have never made the Final Four in the 16-team tournament era, obviously. So that's on the table. A lot of things are on the table. It was interesting to say I looked at this. Princeton hasn't won a national championship since 2001. Penn State has never won a national championship. Georgetown has never won a national championship. Penn State and Georgetown never actually played in a championship game. Duke hasn't won a championship in 12 years. Feels pretty crazy to say that, but it's been now 12 years since the last won it. Carolina last won it 10 years ago. Cuse hasn't won one since 2009. Hopkins hasn't won one since 2007. There's only one team or 2 teams that have won a national championship within the last 10 years. UNC is one of them. Under that, Notre Dame. No Cornell, who won it last year. No Maryland, who's won it twice. No Virginia, who's won it twice. No Yale. So the odds are that we're going to get a national champion, not a new national champion, though it could happen if Penn State or Georgetown win it, but at least a pretty new-ish champion. I mean, listen, compared to never winning it before, I mean, it's like Princeton's never won the national championship in a 16-team tournament. feels pretty crazy to say, but that's the case. Cuse or Hop, if you're Cuse, I mean that's 20, 20 years. Nice. I mean that's getting up there to a while. That's drinking age almost. Driver's license. So it's a pretty interesting. There's a lot of obviously historic teams in the mix there, with Hopkins and Cuse and Carolina and Notre Dame's a new money team and Princeton there, but there's some droughts in this quarterfinal field. There's some kind of scar tissue, I guess, to unleash.
Well, I was going to say, like the 2005 title for Hopkins was like, first one since '87 was like, a lot of people were concerned about that drop, but this present one is longer than that. When Petro broke it, so definitely for the Jays, it's been a minute. It would be interesting if Carolina came back and won the title this year, 10 years after being the last unseeded team to win the national title back in 2016. So, yeah, it could be kind of champagne popping for definitely all the programs, just given winning the title, but having not won it ever. Penn State, Georgetown's case, and having not won it in over a decade and a half for Hopkins, and almost 2 decades to almost 3 decades plus for Princeton. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it all tails out. But I think like the Final Four, it's going to be great, but of course the money round is kind of like where we make our bread. Jake, this is always a fun round. I mean, shout out to RIP to Virginia. I figured this was going to be we could go back to all our talks about Lars. So him not being here, we can talk about that stuff later. But yeah, just in general, Elite Eight intensity wise, I always find to be almost better than most semifinal games. Just because
for the most part, yeah.
It's not that it's anticlimactic. The semis are some of them, but obviously, Hopkins, Virginia, and speaking of 05 and plenty of other great matchups. But it does feel like just be a bit of a drop off. But yeah, it feels like the Elite Eight round comes up with sometimes a little bit forgotten, because you really kind of worried, but Final Four weekend and the champion, obviously that takes the headlines. But yeah, there's just so many great Elite Eight games that we've been been able to enjoy over the last 10 years we've been doing this pod, that always feel really happy about this one, especially because it's 4 games for an entire weekend, with the Final Four, just 2 on the Saturday and then the final one Monday for obviously for the men's D1 level. So I feel like you still have a jam-packed weekend with the Elite Eight that kind of, so it's not a crescendo, but great point towards the end of the season. But
I think
forward to all of them.
I don't think. Yeah, I think all have a lot to look forward to. I don't think there's been any semifinal in the past 2 years or championship game that's been better than the quarterfinals of those seasons. Last year, Cuse Princeton obviously was, and Penn State Notre Dame. Those might have been the 2 best games of the year. Cornell Richmond was also really good. All the quarterfinal games were close. The semifinals, Cornell Penn State was okay. Maryland Cornell in the championship was okay. Maryland Cuse was a blowout. 24 was a bit of a disappointing tournament, but I was there for the Hopkins Virginia game, which was a classic. The semifinals were pretty and Notre Dame just beat everybody. 2023 is the one. I thought both of those semifinals were absolute just classics. You were there, Safe. Okay. Both went to overtime. The controversy with Duke and Penn State. Notre Dame single-handedly changing the course of the program. I mean, if Notre Dame loses that, single-handedly changing the course of the lacrosse world. I mean, it feels insane to think that Lars Tiffany could very well not be the head coach of Virginia in I don't know, any minute. I mean, it's theoretically possible. Considering he made a Final Four 2 years ago, I don't think it's possible that they could let him go if they'd won the championship in 2023. They had 3 titles.
Yeah,
3 titles.
Yeah, come
on. And if Notre Dame loses there, do they have the team they have in 2024? Maybe they win the championship. They certainly had the makings of the team to do it, but who knows how it swings for both programs if Virginia holds on to that lead. So 23 is a good one. 2022, there weren't really any great ones. 21 is just a all-time classic. 3 overtime games. Carolina, Rutgers, Maryland, Notre Dame, Duke, Loyola. 2019 even did have that Virginia Duke semifinal, which was really good.
That's it. But even the Georgetown, Virginia, just for like
notable,
it's exactly
lives in infamy.
You were there, It's,
Can I victory lap a little bit with the Virginia thing?
Well, first off, I think you may still be right, even though they didn't win. Like that, Lars walks off into the sunset. That was
I nailed all of it. I got it all.
Jake's gonna get it.
I said that Virginia wasn't as good as people were saying, and Lars is going to leave. Lars could leave.
It's like this, double. Speaking of double up,
I nailed all of it.
And I was going to say, and we're not. I was going to say we always talk about shame, but I was like, I have no shame in saying, reaching back to my preseason pick as you and say we did pick Georgetown. If they make the fun for it, we called it back in January.
Part of it's my fault. I should have stood on the courage of my convictions, but I don't know. The Virginia thing, people got way too over there. I just think we all got.
They did sweep Notre Dame. Like it did feel
okay. I mean,
different.
Right.
And just dominate North Carolina, maybe because they didn't North Carolina just mailed it in because they're there. But I was like,
they were the only team. They were the only team in the ACC tournament who really had something
that needed it. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get
that. Look, they were not a good team for the first 7 weeks of the season. Then they were a good team for the next couple weeks. But I mean, they lost to Cuse in the Dome pretty easily. And then they were an amazing team for 2 weeks. People thought the ACC tournament was like the team they were the whole time. Like, no, it's not the team they were.
Oh yeah, we're gonna think of them as the Brown 2022, kinda lightning in a bottle, and carries over.
That's just kind of what they were. It was still shocking to a degree. I mean, the last quarter of that game was just I've never seen lacrosse like that. I mean, Georgetown had a period of 7 or 8 minutes in a I think Georgetown turned it over on 8 straight possessions.
Yeah.
And then as Georgetown is in the middle of doing this, Virginia just starts going off sides, left and right. Yeah, it was crazy. And the Hoyas, I mean, it's not a fluke, man. They've beaten an ACC team, 2 ACC teams. They beat an ACC or Big Ten team in the first round 3 weeks in a row, or 3 years in a row. The question, of course, is if they could only play like that all the time. Earlier in the season against ACC or Big Ten teams, but I thought their game plan was awesome in the first half. I thought the first half game plan was awesome. The way they were able to, they really put the game in the hands of their midfielders. Virginia was dead set on shutting off Liam Connor, and Liam Connor, to his credit, played a lot without the ball, and he just kind of let the game come to him. And he had a good game, but he was overall, he had I think a goal and 2 assists. It was the rest of Georgetown's team that really, big save by J.J. Soriano of Maryland for Navy, man down. Still 9-8 in that game. The second half was just, after that, the second half was just, like a comedy of, and Georgetown came through, to their credit. I thought the first half, again, was an amazing, game plan, credit to Hogan and Warren. After that, look, they hung on and they fucked up a little less than Virginia did in that fourth quarter, pretty much.
I mean, 15 turnovers for Georgetown in the third and fourth, 13 for Virginia. 7 missed clears the entire game for Georgetown, with 6 of them coming in the third and fourth. And Virginia had 2 extra man opportunities that they squandered, in the third and fourth as well. Like, it was just bad lacrosse. Like, I mean, kind of like, dramatic, and got to see, because like Georgetown kind of almost like, I love what you were talking about, like refused to like close the door, and like Virginia refused to like push it open. Just so many opportunities when one of them could have just like slammed it. Like Georgetown could have like really sealed the deal there, and just like kept letting Virginia in, and Virginia was like, no thanks. We'll turn it over right back.
It was in some ways, I think it does sum up Virginia the past couple of years, because I thought for a while there it felt like the Hopkins Virginia quarterfinal, where Georgetown was just playing so much defense, and Moore's making all these saves, but Georgetown keeps failing clears. And I'm like, at some point, like Georgetown, like 10 goals or whatever they had is not going to win this thing. It turned out 11 was enough to win. But then Virginia just started, like, right as it felt like the game was going to tilt in Virginia's balance, they threw it away.
I'm looking at the individual, the actual play-by-play. From 14:43 to about 8:50 in the fourth quarter, both teams combined for 8 turnovers. That's literally
like every
2 turnovers a minute.
That's every possession. Like every possession ended in a turnover. It's insane. And I did not anticipate, obviously, that it would put us in sort of the position we're in right now, where Lars Tiffany does not have a contract extension. I think that might have been like put out there. Lars Tiffany has not been extended. He's also not been fired. Of course, something has to happen in the next, 8 weeks or 6 weeks rather.
I think you could say without a contract, right?
Yeah, like because
the contract ended at the season, or unless it's like a
maybe it might go to June. It probably goes to June 30, the fiscal year. So he's got a contract for the next 6 weeks. The fact that he's put it, that he came out. So there was a report out there that said that Lars was done, or the Lars era was over, something or another. I'm not saying that report was wrong. Then Terry Foy came out with a report saying that, or he was from Lars's agent, clarifying that Lars is still working, he's still on the job, and he expects to be back there in 2027. Mike Barber, who's covered sports in Virginia for a long, long time, got comment from Lars on the record saying that he's in the office and he's working, and he expects to be the coach of Virginia in 2027. So clearly there's a concerted effort from Lars and his agent to get out in front of this. And I think I guess you could say apply pressure.
Oh, yeah. Pressure campaign.
Yeah. I mean, in a normal situation, you would say Virginia could not let this kind of go on and just linger out there. However, when Lars Tiffany got the job after Dom Starja was, let go, or however you want to put it, it came when Dom Starja was. If Terry tweeted out the IL article, you should go back and read it if you aren't familiar, if you've kind of forgotten the situation when Starja was let go. Virginia told Dom Starja that they wanted to make a change at head coach. But they it was more of like they like suggested it.
Yeah, what do you think about this?
Dom, what do you think about you not being employed anymore?
There's no wrong answers here. We just want to talk,
And Dom was like, well, I think I'd prefer to keep coaching. And so then they're like, all right, we'll get back to you. And they got back to him. And then they got back to him, and they're like, all right, Dom, we want you to be the coach again. And he was like, okay, sweet. What's the catch? And they were like, well, X, Y, and Z. And then he's like, no, actually, I think I'm good. And so, and of course, this played out publicly. Alums got involved. We're like, you can't let go of Dom. Dom eventually leaves himself. That wasn't the last of it. The whole Virginia, we might, especially if Lars gets let go, we're definitely going to have to do a podcast on, that 2016 Virginia. Because there's the 2 days or whatever where Kevin Corrigan, I'm pretty sure he accepted the job. and then probably got the Billy Donovan shit.
Coming home, right? His brother, doesn't his brother works for them?
His dad. I think his dad was like the AD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Corrigan's been deep in Virginia.
And so I think he got the cold feet of like, wait, if I take the Virginia job, that means I actually have to leave. And so he didn't leave. And then Lars
Tams had a toe in the water, right? Yeah.
Shea was in there. Matt Brown of Virginia, I think, or not Matt Brown of Denver, rather. There were a lot of people involved in there. A lot of people got raises out of that.
People ate. People.
Lars was out and then circled back in, and now is here. So all of that to say, I took a big detour there. Normally, I would say they can't Virginia can't let this linger. But this is Virginia. This kind of seems to be what they do. And it doesn't really seem like they care about this lingering. But there definitely is a pressure came from Lars. Virginia doesn't seem to be moved. And I guess we just have to wait and see what happens. But it's a very weird situation that's playing out. And again, I tweeted, a second multi-time national championship winning Virginia head coach who's having his future with the program play out in public.
If Bresci ends up in Final Four after, I think, maybe, bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, right? We were questioning them getting to sign the contract before the end of the season. Like, if he makes it to Charlotte, that'd be great in Charlottesville. And if Lars is not there, the Barber article, I can't tell. Is he doing great Lane Kiffin impersonation here? Just saying the right things, or this is Tiffany told Seville right now he spent Tuesday in individual meetings and with a team captain planning for next year and is quote unquote excited about it. Big quote here. It's really disappointing at the end of the season. Obviously, Tiffany said Sunday night after the loss. So that I guess that was before all this stuff happened. After the loss, having said that, after last year, we have losing record, which is blasphemy for the tradition. Stand in front of you talking, representing Virginia Lacrosse. So that's the I guess this is all still then on Sunday because he's like, next year's team is going to build on the foundation that we did this year. Going forward to an ACC, winning an ACC tournament, that's a really big deal. We have to defend our turf better next year. We lost too many games here, but we took a big step. Now we launched from here. So again, that probably is Sunday. So I guess the only real quote that I guess we could nail down that was after all these reports came out was the part where Barber spoke to Tiffany on Tuesday, and Tiffany saying that he's excited about next year. So,
I mean, he has to be. It's weird.
Next year to begin the new program at SMU, or excited about Virginia. But yeah, maybe that's a little. That's probably uncharitable. But it did leave something interpretation. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about maybe it's just a fan of the program. If he's not a coach,
imagine if Lars just showed up to games.
Dylan Brooks, it's a Lakers game.
They just pan to the bench and Kerwin's there and Lars is just behind him.
just an all black UVA hat, the V with the Sabres.
Oh man, Ryan from Long Island is here.
Hello.
There he is.
So we got 10-10 right now in Navy, Maryland.
Yeah.
Tony, is there any NCAA tournament that gives you more bang for the buck than the NCAA Women's Lacrosse tournament? Feels like the money round always delivers. And it's delivering today. 2 one-goal games, buzzer beater, overtime. We got another one tied in the fourth now.
So it's a tricky question because as far as the bang for your buck, they take up a lot of your time.
That's true. The games are 2 hours, 45 minutes long each, but
with the reviews and the stoppages, and it takes up a lot of your time. The lacrosse itself and the quality of the games and the drama is terrific. It's awesome. You get the best teams, and you had the Colorado. I thought the Colorado Northwestern game was just an awesome clash of styles. Colorado through the zone at Northwestern really jammed them up. unfortunately they couldn't hang on and get the win. But no, the quality of play is awesome. But yeah, it is the reviews and everything does just sap a lot of. There's a lot of dead time. But no, I mean the games themselves have been tremendous today. I mean, potentially three. I mean, one goal. It's gonna be 3 games that go down to the final possession. Maryland just went power play here for a minute.
I feel like the PLL power play. I think power play nomenclature. I bet you that the men were like a year or 2 away from using it. ESPN's been using it quite a bit.
Oh yeah, the men. Yeah, that's definitely. They've already kind of used it to a degree already. It's really a truly terrific soft power campaign by Rabel and company. Maryland just took the lead. They slowly kind of just bedded it in slowly a little bit, like a game here or there. Just
then it's like perfect. It's gender neutral. We could use it for both.
Yes, the PLO is where it started. Basically, right when the PLO started. From the beginning, the PLO is called a power play.
Some say that it all started when Rabel was talking to his buddy Chris Kreider, and it was on from there. Chris Kreider is the one who came up with the suggestion of naming a power play. All right, so it looks like I hijacked in when you guys were talking about future Syracuse head coach Lars Tiffany.
Coming home. He's coming home.
He's coming home. Lars, future SMU coach, future Syracuse coach, future Ohio State coach. He's gonna coach. He's gonna have every job.
Like Pacino at the end of any given Sunday. You know, he's talking about the UVA, and then all of a sudden goes, "I'm excited for the new program at SMU."
Is there so?
I could definitely see Lars in Texas, but I'm just not even.
I actually think that if we're talking what he would, when we do the SMU thing, maybe we'll do it now, or maybe we'll do it. Good stick tie up by Navy. Maryland had a good look there. I actually I would put the SMU thing actually very high on the list of like his next destination.
Yeah, that could be like a Tierney at Denver kind of program building situation.
Take a year off, help God. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He would freaking love it.
Him in Texas,
he would be Paul Dano, and there would be blood. Just spreading the word. Absolutely, just charismatic, just spellbinding. No, I'm serious. In Texas.
In this scenario, who is Daniel Day-Lewis?
He's both. He's both of them.
I'm gonna say maybe.
Oh man! Oh god! All right, let me telegraph. Let me handicap this and see what y'all think. I think there's a 50 to 55% chance that they offer Lars an extension that he obviously has to say no to. It's just not like it's a
3 year. Those things, I think
maybe 2.
Oh,
they offer him an extension because I just don't see how you can't offer him an extension. I understand if, let's say the alums, I don't know, maybe the alums are, want to change. I don't know. Maybe there's unpopular that I don't know. Maybe the players, the locker room, maybe he's, it wasn't what it was. Maybe all that. Let's say that's the case. He still won 2 national titles and was in the Final Four 2 years ago. I just don't see how you don't, from a public relations PR standpoint, from a signaling.
And with the freshman class you got that definitely played above their years already.
From a signaling to other coaches standpoint, hey, listen, somebody will take the Virginia job. Coaches will be like, how could they do that to Lars?
Bill Tierney will get another comment inside Lacrosse about.
They could never. Somebody will talk about how awful it is and then take the job because that's just what
while scheduling the interview. Yeah, absolutely. This is like, a travesty. What has happened to this game? Yeah. Tuesday at 3:00 is fine. Yeah.
We're on the phone with USA Lacrosse magazine. I can't believe they're doing this.
Tuesday's good. Yeah. I mean, come on. What's going on with our game?
But if you're a head coach listen, somebody will take the job. But if you're a head coach, the quality that Virginia would want to, if you're going to let go of Lars, you got to aim big. And if you're someone who's at one of those types of jobs, do you really want to walk into that situation?
Yeah, because, I mean, what are you thinking? You're thinking, oh, Tambroni, well, you've made Final Fours of Penn State. If you're aiming Madeline, well, the situation at Princeton's way, way better than it was 10 years ago, and you've built a contender there. Are you going to go with trying to think who else?
Connor? Maybe.
There's only 3 coaches you could hire that would make me go, yes, letting go Lars makes sense. Those are the 3. There's the only 3.
Or go for the moon and go for John Tillman somehow.
I mean, and also, basically the point is, there's no precedent for a move like this. It just doesn't exist. I can't, Dave Cottle is like the closest thing. And if Dave Cottle had 2 national championships, he wouldn't have been fired. He wouldn't have been let go, basically. There's just no precedent for this. I'll say 50 to 55% chance that he gets offered some sort of, I think they have to offer him an extension. I also think they could offer him an extension that says we tried, while also knowing he's not going to take it. I'll say there's a 35 to 45% chance that he gets a short-term extension, kind of the Brett Shea 3 years, and he takes it because it's still Virginia, and he still, as Ryan mentioned, he's got a heck of a team coming back. They're going to be really good next year. Whether he's coaching or somebody else, whoever's coaching it like that, you're going to get Brendan Millen for 3 more years.
Yeah, like already your floor next year is 3rd place in the ACC, but like top 7 team. I mean, it's them, Notre Dame, and North Carolina. Give it another year, it's just them and Notre Dame.
Yeah, like they're in a really good spot. So I give a 5% chance he's just outright let go. They don't even offer him a contract. I just can't. I'm not going to say it's not possible. I just don't see how you could do that. But I'll say that's a possibility. I am leaning towards. If you wanted to keep him, you should keep him. I mean, you can give him a contract anytime. That's not me saying I think that's not me reporting he's not going to get the job. He's not going to stay. I just think if I had to handicap it right now, I feel I lean by 2 to 3%, he might not be there next year. Which is insane, but I mean, it's kind of crazy we're in this situation to begin with. When you let a guy like that walk into the season without a contract, Maryland goes up by 2, by the way.
Yeah. To your point about long stoppages, Maryland scores on a free position after 6 minutes of downtime there.
So, yeah, that's
actually not free position. It's a little bit windy. Yeah, wait. I guess at this point, wait and see. Though we're in quarterfinal weekend, and there's not much movement on the coaching carousel, which is a little surprising given some of the situations out and about. But
Fairfield, we didn't talk Fairfield letting go Andy Baxter.
It was a bit of a surprise there. Yeah,
they had a really good team last year.
Mm-hmm. One down year, but that's not it. I think grounds of letting him go unless there was another opportunity came up for him.
I mean, he has been there for 7 years now. So, and that big year was sort of the one up year. I don't know. Maybe Fairfield senses, the CAA. Towson's obviously got but behind Towson, it's not like the CAA isn't what it was. UMass isn't there anymore. Delaware isn't there anymore. There's a lot of great ground ball around. the CAA kind of feels a little up for grabs, I think, after, and especially Towson losing some pieces from this year's team, Mikey Weishar. Maybe Fairfield senses an opportunity in the CAA with where the league is at. It's not the kind of really tough Maryland up 3. Not the kind of league was. Rafferty Stadium's a really good facility. It's a good place to watch a game. They're in a spot in Connecticut, like where you can get players. I mean, it's hard.
Them and Sacred Heart have found something. It feels like in terms of finding a pretty decent niche there in that part of Connecticut.
I mean, there's a lot of talent. There's some prep schools in Connecticut. Now, granted, a lot of those guys want to go to bigger schools than Fairfield. But be that as it may, I can sort of, and to be fair to them, Copeland did a really good job there in the mid-2010s. Like, they had a couple seasons in a row where they were in like the top 20, kind of around there every year. I'm not saying Baxter did a bad job, but he didn't really do that. Like, if I actually go from 2012 to 2016, Fairfield won 12, 8, 12, 9, and 9 games. And from 2014 to 2016, they were first in their conference each season. 2014 was in the old EC, the last year of the ECAC, and 2015 and 16 were the first 2 years of the CAA. So they had some really good teams in that period. And I don't know that they kind of quite caught that same realm of Baxter, but like, man, he didn't do. It's maybe just up and down. 2-9 in 2021, 7-7 in 2022, 5-9 in 2023, 8-7 in 2024. Last year, obviously, his best year, and then they kind of fell back to earth. Maybe his contract. I'm assuming his contract was up. That probably would be. He was there in 2019. Was he there in 2019? Did he get that job right after the championship? I think he did. Or was COVID his first?
Let me see.
No, he got it for 2020.
Okay.
So this is year 7. So maybe it's just contract. Maybe got a 7-year deal. Contract was up. But yeah, I did expect maybe some more movement. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, listen, if Penn can fire Taylor Ray or not Taylor Ray, Mike Murphy in like late June, early July. I guess you can make a move when you want, but the portal's open. I guess But listen, is Lacrosse really on the front of the minds? I don't know.
Mm. All right, I got. Do
you want to do the SMU thing now or later?
We'll do it now because I got to get going around 7:30. I got company coming over in a little bit, so I'll leave with my quarterfinal thoughts before you guys really go into it, but. Yeah, I mean, the SMU thing is interesting because, normally we'd say, well, believe it when we see it because, it takes a lot of money to have a lacrosse program, Title IX, scholarships, NIL, etc. It's a pricey proposition. But because it came from, no pun intended, the horse's mouth, the athletic director, I say pun intended because they're the Mustangs. Imagine they were the Stallions.
You stallion.
Greatest line ever. Sabres scored. Speaking of the Sabre, but the Buffalo variety, not the Virginia variety. What is that, Darlene? No, that just pinballed off 1,000,000 feet. But because it came from the tippy top and it's on record, that makes it a heck of a lot more spicy, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is one of the bigger news in terms of like expansion of recent years. We had, smaller programs, but yeah. School like SMU with that kind of cash, with a conference at ACC, get a AQ, from the conference, make a respectable conference out of them finally, increase the tournament, potentially up even to 24, because, you have another at large. Like, I think this would be, great for sport, obviously expanding the the footprint into the Southwest. Texas is a wonderful state, great people, a lot of money there. So especially at SMU, so it's like not like a shoestring budget. I can imagine. There's a bunch of oil men from Dallas. Went to see their kids play at the school instead of having to go all the way to the East Coast. Could also be like something that sparks further like expansion. Like I know the ACC is like a little bit behind, especially for men's lacrosse, but women's lacrosse there's a lot of good amount of programs. Maybe that could get UT Austin to like get a men's program and stuff like that. So like I said, I thought it was great news. I still believe like the 5 people who definitely don't want this to happen are 5 like groups are the current ACC teams. Yeah, it'd probably good to be able to beat up on a program, but like I said, I think they love the setup that they have right now and like further expansion.
They absolutely do not want to beat up on SMU.
No,
listen, they'll probably change the tournament selection criteria if not this year, next year, which would kind of change this conversation. But there's nothing to be gained by these ACC teams beating up on SMU for
unless you're Duke.
Yeah, there's nothing to be gained from that. The thing is, it doesn't matter. They don't really have a say in it. If SMU wants to add men's lacrosse, the ACC can't be like.
It sounded like Gary was supportive of it in his quote.
He was. Yeah, he was like. Yeah,
but I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I think we keep on talking about.
He wants to play a game in Houston. That's right.
Expand the footprint of Gate Lacrosse.
Play where the Texans play. Yeah, sorry, Rock.
Yeah, so I think we kept on talking about, it would be an awesome pipe dream is getting a school in Texas on board because you think there's already, the upper middle class suburbs of Dallas already have a pretty sizable, high school lacrosse scene.
Highland Park.
And you think about the untapped potential of it. And you think great spring sport for, football guys to latch on, keep themselves conditioned. Maybe some of them break through. In lacrosse, playing it as a spring sport. We've seen examples of guys from Texas making it to the NCAA. So, yeah, it's a fascinating thing. And as you said, Safe, could spur on more. I'm not going to go the real pipe dream of having a Texas or a Texas A&M adding it. I think I'll believe an SEC school adding a men's program when I see it. But SEC women's lacks. If you add a school from Texas, you already got Vandy in Florida with programs. See what Clemson's already done in the ACC. Maybe one of the other SEC schools want to add women's lacks, and you go from there. So that could be a catalyst for it too. But yeah, I think should SMU decide, it's going to take a while for them, to be. We've seen with Michigan. We all thought, and Michigan saying they're elevating their club team, which was always a national title contender in the MCLA. And, they're going varsity. This is going to be an overnight success. And we've seen that Michigan, it took years and years for them to develop. So it's not going to be an overnight thing. But I think more than any other expansion, there's a 4-goal lead for the Terps now in women. If, even more so than Utah, I feel like if you add SMU, that's opening up a whole new ground for development. And I could see, down the line, maybe not a Texas A&M, but maybe some of these Big 12 Texas schools or some of these smaller conference, they got large enrollment at some of these schools like a Sam Houston State or a Stephen F. Austin or something, high enrollments, but smaller conferences, maybe that's their opportunity to get in too. So going to be interesting to see if they're really going to pull the trigger on it. That opens up a lot of opportunities for the growth of the sport. I know every time we do these expansion talks and off-season pods and we pour water on it, but this could be something that really could spark something.
Well, I'm going to pour water on it, but I'm going to try and refill at the same time. We have one Big Ten or ACC team has added men's lacrosse in like the last 60 years. Which was Michigan. Penn State had a team in the 60s and 70s. Ohio State's had a team forever. Rutgers has had a team forever.
I'd say, if we're saying P4 conferences, you could include Utah.
Sure. So let's do Utah and Michigan as the two P4 conference teams at the Crosse in the last 60 years. So,
scored.
my point with that is, one, we should not assume whatsoever. In fact, you should always assume it won't lead to anything, because that's just what the history and track record suggests. Now, on the flip side of that, on the sunny side up, that means the fact it's happening to begin with is incredible. I mean, I think we made SMU jokes like 9 months ago. Now, some of them were jokes 10% grounded in reality, because this thing started to pop up and percolate towards like last year. That maybe SMU was interested in adding men's lacrosse. And then it seemed to kind of, I guess it kind of went quiet, and maybe it going quiet wasn't actually a sign that it was, like not happening, but them putting the wheels in motion. And it really seems to have like escalated over in recent times. It's definitely not done, but there's word out there that like this could be happening pretty soon. So I think it's probably going to happen. That they will do that team. Again, to Ryan's point, when it comes from the athletic director, and you could kind of pick up his sort of tone in the conversation, it felt pretty, pointed and kind of optimistic. That feels like a good sign. They have a Navy cuts it to 14-11, but this game's
it's only 17 seconds left. So,
they have a great facility. The MCLA, like they are down the art, like their stadium facility as is are D1 level. They have money.
People don't realize how much money SMU has. Like they bought themselves into the ACC, and then they went and won the ACC in their first year, or second place. But they got into the college football playoff their first year in the ACC after buying themselves in.
They took Cal and Stanford basically with them, like alongside it, like they put full freight. They have a crap ton of money. For the moment, it's a pretty good time to be in the oil business, and that's where they got a good amount of money from. They don't have baseball, which feels insane.
Insane for a school in Dallas to not have baseball.
Dallas Baptist is a really good D1 baseball program. They're in the tournament like every year. So the fact that Dallas Baptist has baseball and SMU doesn't is crazy. So there's an opening for a significant spring sport there at SMU. They have the facilities. They have a lot of money. And Texas is Pressler's coaching at Highland Park right now. There's been more and more kind of talent in Dallas that's been emerging. They got some really notable club programs down there. It checks all boxes. This in and of itself, maybe someone else comes along the next 10 years. I don't know. But in and of itself, this is awesome for so many reasons. One, it gets you a sixth ACC team, which we've been asking for forever. Makes the ACC an AQ league. That potentially leads to expansion of the tournament, which a lot of people have been suggesting. A lot of them have been wanting. I don't think that there's a long line of teams necessarily that, like, we talk about this all the time. Do I think there's a long line of teams missing the tournament that need to be in? No. But if you have 11 automatic qualifiers, you're going to have to expand the tournament. And there can be benefits for that. It gets everyone, if you do that and you do it and you expand the tournament properly, we've been arguing they should expand it to 24 teams. Our good pal at Fieldy Stick had basically put up what the bracket would look like if you did it at 24 teams, and also if you did it at 20. This year would it look like? And I think, look, if you go to 24, it gets rid of playing games, so it gets everyone in the tournament right off the jump in the first round.
But
go ahead, Steve.
Would that still start midweek, or would that the first weekend be the?
You would probably have to do it like Friday. The women do, as Thursday or Friday, and then Saturday or Sunday.
Friday. Do it Friday, Sunday. So you would do the
women Thursday, Saturday, men Friday, Sunday, probably.
Yeah.
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 Because of facility availability and everything too.
The first round would be Friday, Sunday. Then after that, it would just go as it normally does. And you would play all of the first round games at that, like, so there'd be all the first round games we played at the 8 host sites. So
yeah, 8 seeded teams would be the hosted ones. Yeah.
Yeah, you would just funnel in, into there's. I can actually pull it up. But no, in and of itself, just on its own, it's already an awesome thing. Even if it doesn't lead to necessarily a bunch of teams adding, D1 lacrosse. This stuff doesn't happen often. Is it's worth noting. It's a notable school. I mean, like, it's a school with money. Do I think they're going to be good off the bat? No, like, they're not going to be good off the bat. Do I think they?
I mean, we were celebrating. We were getting hyped up, just a couple of years ago over Iona adding men's lacrosse, and that's taking time. And that's just a mid-major. So imagine if you get a P4 program to do it. Oh, Montreal just scored. Holy crap, this game's nuts. I know I'm talking hockey during the lacrosse live stream, but sue me.
Yeah, like, if we're gonna get excited about Iona, like, then we can definitely get excited about SMU. So, and yeah, maybe there is a chance that it could lead to opportunities, for other programs down the line, to add it. It's just it's a new market in Texas. Listen, that I think, as much as anything, is like, will it add a hang on, crap, this isn't the right one. Oh, that's not it. This is it. Okay. Just having the sport, a D1 team in Texas, having access to the Dallas media market, connections like that, I think is in and of itself is a pretty important thing. And, like, did Michigan have a D1? Was there a D1 team in Michigan? Yeah, Detroit Mercy.
Detroit Mercy, yeah.
Yeah.
Michigan State for a moment, right?
Yeah, I think Sparty had it for a hot moment.
Utah didn't have one, did they?
No, Utah was club.
So, but no, like, there isn't even another D1 team in Utah.
No, BYU still fuming that they're not.
Yeah, BYU in Denver, Colorado.
But so, like, I guess my point is, just Texas is, like, such a massive leap forward as far as a state adding a D1 team. Like, that's significant. The high school sports scene in Texas is off the charts. If you now know that for the high school kids playing lacrosse in Texas, there's a D1 team to go to, that's a huge step. It being just on the radar as, for support, media cover, all that, that's just a big deal in and of itself. And yeah, maybe, does it catch the radar of some other schools? Maybe it does. And if that does, then yeah, then we're talking. But it is like, there's a potential domino effect that is greater with SMU adding it than even Utah. Like, for Utah, the domino, I guess the hope was like BYU maybe, and maybe Colorado or something like that.
Or with Arizona State.
With SMU, you can allow yourself to dream a little bit, and, like, that's what I would say. It's like, just that, don't go crazy, but, like, in and of itself, again, there hasn't been a new ACC team to add lacrosse ever. Like, that in and of itself tells you kind of what we're dealing with here.
All right, I do have to get going in a moment, so let me just let's talk this, and then I'll do my quarterfinal talk.
So you would have the 8 host teams would.
I love that last first 4 out includes Rutgers, as is tradition.
So 8 teams would host. Your first round matchups would be, you get some, like, St. Joe's Army would be pretty good. Loyola Duke could be good. Maryland Penn maybe. Some of these are pretty, like, straightforward. what I do think it does is I think it does create like a very good second round potentially. Like what is the first round now? I think gets actually greatly improved because you get Princeton Army, you get Penn State Yale possibly, Richmond versus Duke still, Maryland versus Virginia, Notre Dame could play Ohio State again. Hopkins, Cornell, Georgetown, UNC. Like you really get, and this is where I would say like I think expanding works out is like you get 8 really good first round games.
And I think too, giving the auto bids, you get a reward for winning your conference and not having to play a Wednesday night game on ESPN Plus.
1,000%. Mm-hmm. Auto bids getting in playing games stinks. Mm-hmm. Like it sucks.
Don't worry, the NCAA decided for men's and women's basketball there should be more of that. So that way we can have more mediocre Big Ten, SEC, and ACC schools in the tournament. Yay. Sabres score again. Holy crap. 5 goals in 10 minutes and 15 seconds.
And this is why I think going to 20 sucks, because you just do like 4 play-in games. It's like, no, I don't. I'd rather just watch this, where you get 8 first-round games on Sunday that are all really freaking good. And, 4 of them will be on ESPN Plus. You probably still get 4 spots on ESPNU. Or maybe you find maybe you somehow split it. Maybe you do 4 games Thursday, 4 games Friday.
And then
probably not with the women's, but maybe.
It depends on how the facility availability with that. I guess if the schools that share facilities would maybe have the men game Thursday, but then it's going to get complicated. Like because Syracuse, for instance. Carrier Dome has graduation, and the women traditionally, if they host, they play at the soccer stadium. I don't know if the soccer field is going to be able to last through 6 games in one weekend.
I'm starting to put my third eye open with that Syracuse graduation thing. I don't know. They told us for years it's like it has to be at 7:30, and then one year it's like actually we can do it at 5. Well,
they're a little bit quicker at shutting things down, But I mean,
yeah, there you go. 24 teams, so there'd be a lot of that ratio would be a little high, right? Like it was almost just 1/3.
The problem is if you go to 20, like I just don't think 20.
Yeah,
say, let me
20
show you.
20 is a nice number, but the format gets wonky.
Say, let me show you 20, and you tell me if you like it better or worse.
All right, and then after this, I'm going to give my quarterfinal results because I'm going to have to go. So this is with 20.
Sorry,
that's 24.
Okay, I'm still showing 24. All right, so this is one possible. So this is if they did 21 teams. So you still have a play-in game, you basically keep the play-in game of Stony Brook and Marist, but then you funnel the other teams into the host sites. So the only teams that get directly in are the 8 hosts and then the teams that go 6 through 11. So 6, 7, 8 are locked in matchups. 1 through 5 are play-in games. Do you like this better or worse than 24?
I mean, 24 is definitely aesthetically better, and I could see it. I just my only little concern myself is just the ratio amount of teams that making the tournament. Kind of getting up to 33%. Kind of dilutes a little bit of the challenge of making it in.
But I think that's fair. I guess to me it's like. You still have like, I think there's still like enough of the first round to the second round. I think the opening round to the first round, I think would still be like a distinction to me. And also it really puts a premium on earning a seed. Like the top 8 right now, the top 8 kind of matters. But I think it really matters if you actually get a bye. I mean, maybe you're right. I mean, I guess you could be like, if you just get in the tournament, like, would teams really? Some of these teams would maybe just be like, "Hey, we got in the tournament," and like coaches might be able to spin that like crazy. Getting in the tournament, I don't know. I hear you. I
was just thinking, like, so say that there was an SMU, you get another ad-log, but they decided to expand it even further than the absolute minimum that they could add. Like, SMU wouldn't make the first tournament, so like one of the 5 ACC teams that already was probably going to get an at-large would get the AQ, and then were there 4 or 5 other teams on the bubble that really, it's like it would really kind of end up being between 3 teams for 2 spots. Now we're gonna Ohio State.
No, I don't think, to answer your question, no. Like, there's not. I agree with you. There's not like 3 or 4 other teams who need to be in the tournament. What I would say is that what makes for the best tournament is it to do like 5 play-in games essentially, and have like 3 games locked in, and have the brackets sort of look like that, or is it to be like, hey, if you get a home game, you actually really get rewarded here. Like, you don't have to play in that first round. You get your first round game still at home, and you get a bye. And also, I agree with you that Ohio State and Maryland did need to be in the tournament. However, would you still watch Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Maryland, Virginia in the first round?
Of course.
Then in that case, like, I mean, I don't know if it's that bad.
Mm-hmm. All right, I got to get going. So is it all right if I just drop my quarterfinal picks real quick?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So first off, Hempstead Regional.
In attendance, right? Right. You and Adam, I think.
I will be in attendance. Adam, I'm going to have to ask Adam because the LIRR might be going on strike.
I thought he said that, the last week's show. But yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, so if the railroad's on strike, that might make it a little bit more difficult for him to get from the city to Long Island, so I'll have to ask. That being said, there's not a single soul that roots for Johns Hopkins on Long Island, so it'll have to be the alumni base showing up or them traveling up from Maryland, because I'm telling you, from Long Island, nobody roots for Hopkins. Sorry. I would say the split is probably going to be like overwhelmingly Notre Dame.
Does Long Island, like, it's like a potluck or something? Can't you all just root for one team? Like, why do you root for Duke and Notre Dame on Long Island? Like,
there's Duke, there's Notre Dame, there's Syracuse, there's
how does that make any sense? Yeah, I'm a big Notre Dame fan.
There's Penn State. There's
how does any of this make sense?
There's Cornell, there's Princeton starting to get back up a bit. Harvard and Yale a little bit. Of course, Hofstra and Stony Brook and LIU. In terms of women's lacrosse, there's Northwestern fans. There's Maryland. There's even Maryland fans. There's North Carolina fans with women's laps.
You just count anyone who wears a hat as being a fan?
No, I'm being serious. It's
maybe they just got it like a free giveaway or something.
Well, part of it is whoever came out of your high school.
Are these safe fans? Safe. Like, he's got Duke basketball shorts. He's got Michigan basketball shorts.
Well, yeah,
he's got Georgetown basketball shorts.
Well, partially that. It's partially that, but it's also
to all those comments.
It's partially that, but it's also partially who went to your high school and was really good and played D1 lacrosse, and you latch onto that a little bit.
The island is like Jersey. We export so many students to great schools,
except for Johns Hopkins. Nobody goes. There are no Johns Hopkins fans on Long Island.
Adam.
But Adam's from Jersey.
But that's what Safe was saying.
But not Long Island.
Oh, I mean,
I tell you, go to any youth lacrosse thing and count how many Johns Hopkins paraphernalia you see, and it's going to be 0. that being said, I think quarterfinals, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Notre Dame Hopkins is going to be a close one because I think Hopkins will slow it down. But I think the difference here between that and the Cornell game is I feel like Notre Dame can easily play a Big Ten style of lacrosse and be comfortable with it.
They want to, honestly.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of going to be the difference maker in this one. I'd say like Notre Dame in like a 10-8, 9-7 type of game. Like I think Hopkins will be in it the whole time, but like I think a Big Ten style game suits Notre Dame. And I don't know if Hopkins has the other gear on offense to try and ramp it up a little bit, but I think Notre Dame's also shown a bit recently that they're okay with ramping it up. You saw it with the Syracuse game. You saw it last week against Jacksonville. So I'll say Notre Dame in a close one in that one. I'll skip the homer pick for a moment. We'll save that one for last. Sunday, we'll start with Georgetown Duke because that's like the least intriguing game. Sorry, Hoyas and Blue Devils, but I guess Georgetown, it feels now with this opportunity that sometimes your opportunity comes later than you think it would be when you think the window's closed, but then it reopens. So kind of like, remember with Albany, it felt like their window was closed after the Thompsons, but then here comes, but then they were able to take advantage of their opportunity and make a Final Four. So I wonder, it kind of has a little bit of a feel with that. And I think if Georgetown's defense is as buttoned up as they were against Virginia, I think they could do the same against Duke. So I think the Hoyas break through. I was pretty high to begin with against Virginia in my bracket and picked them, but I think kind of like, again, yes, Albany had TD Erlin, which made a huge difference in that. But again, sometimes when you think the window's closed, but then the opportunity presents itself, you get to take advantage of it. So I think I'll go with Georgetown in that one. Princeton, Penn State's just, man, this one's a tough one to call. I'll go with Princeton in like a 2-goal game. I'm thinking like a 14-12 game. And the reason, because I think Penn State could win this game. So that's not to discount Penn State by any means. But I think if Princeton plays Penn State the way that they did against Cornell in the Ivy League Championship, they've clearly made note of who they lost to in the regular season. And they showed it against Cornell. If they're going to do this as another revenge, guns a-blazing game, I think they're going to win.
Are they going to win every face? Are they going to win every face-off in the third quarter? Because I mean, that's what they did against Cornell. They just won like every face-off for 10
Who knows?
minutes.
If the way that they've been playing, they've been hot at the X. I think, yeah, and again, I think the reason why I picked Notre Dame as my national champ was because hedging my bet of this game because it could go either way.
How is that? Why was that hedging your bet? Like
because because my preseason pick was Princeton.
Okay.
So if Princeton didn't make the Final Four, then
why didn't you pick Penn State?
Because I picked Princeton to win the semifinal. Because I picked Princeton to win this quarterfinal.
So why didn't you just pick Princeton to win?
Well, I picked Princeton to win the game and their semifinals, but Notre Dame.
So why didn't you pick them to beat Notre Dame?
Well, that we're going to have to find out next week on Final Four weekend.
I just don't see how you were hedging your bet. I'm confused. Picked Princeton to win.
Well, no, but also I think by the time we get to Championship Sunday, Notre Dame might have something clicking, and I think Notre Dame beating every team that was ranked number 1 in the regular season means something, but We'll update that as conditions warrant.
So you just think Notre Dame's better then?
Slightly.
Okay, that's fair. I think that feels more like a logical thesis that I'm hedging my bet by not picking the team I picked to win the championship.
In the beginning season, but no, I think. But I think with this one, I think what I decided on. I know the NCAA was a little screwy with how they bracketed this, but there's a reason why Princeton's number one. It's because they're a real dang good team. And there's a reason why Penn State's number 8. They're a real good dang team, but they've also lost to Villanova. They've lost to Navy. They've lost to Michigan. And they've lost to the other 2 quarterfinal teams they played in Michigan and North Carolina. Johns Hopkins in North Carolina. And how much it kind of harkens back to last year's semifinal. How much stock are we taking on that Penn State win against Princeton compared to Cornell when Penn State had their sea legs and Princeton was very green? That being said again, Penn State could absolutely win this game. When we've seen Penn State on their best day, there's hardly anyone that could beat them. But I'll go with the Tigers in a close one. Because, again, I just think that you saw that fire they came out with against Cornell. And I think, yes, this is a tough quarterfinal for them, but they've earned that number 1 seed. And I think they come out on top with that. Also, what are we putting the over-under on the crowd remaining for that Duke-Georgetown game?
56.
All right, so that leads us to Syracuse UNC.
53 are Georgetown fans.
So that leads us to Cuse UNC. Cuse UNC. How about 67 fans?
Jesus, I'm gonna kick you out of the studio.
Okay. See, I'm teaching high school students all day. The brain rot that they have over the number 67. I was saying, what's the temperature out there? And someone said, "Oh, it's 67." And they all go 67. I'm like, oh my God.
I'm gonna kick you. Like you're
all right. So Syracuse UNC. I'm a believer in third time's a charm. I know a lot of this is going to come down to Wambach versus Wambach versus Mullins. And Wambach had the edge in the first 2 pretty handily. But I know UNC exploded without Owen Duffy last week. And we might have a case of Ewing theory on our hands. But it's hard to beat the same team 3 times in a year. I think you take into account it's Joey Spallina's last game on Long Island. And he was fired up to play on home field last year against Princeton. He had his best game of his career last year in the quarterfinal. And they're used to the environment at Hofstra after last year, too. So if they can... Without Duffy, the UNC offense is still very potent. But that's one less guy to worry about. And 1 week doesn't mean that UNC still isn't prone to turnovers like we've seen. And I think the thing that I keep on thinking ever since this bracket was announced was that Penn-Yale game. Penn beat Yale twice, and they had a third shot at him, but Yale came away with the victory. I don't know if it's going to... It has the opportunity of being just as helter-skelter as last year's quarterfinal. This could be a high-scoring one. But it's really dang hard to go 3-0 against the same team. So I think Syracuse has the Hofstra magic to get themselves back to the Final Four. So I'll go Homer. Maybe it's being a bit too optimistic, but I'll have Cuse winning this semifinal. So I got Princeton against Georgetown and Notre Dame against Syracuse.
Does Cuse have to win?
Does Cuse have to win? I mean, for all the legacy talk, yes. In the grand scheme of things, look,
If this
they'd
senior,
be 0
if, this,
4 again. Yeah.
if they lose to UNC, if they lose to UNC, is this senior class a failure?
I'd say disappointment, but not failure. They made a Final Four.
They got blown out by about 12 goals in that Final Four.
But if they didn't make that Final Four, it would be an absolute failure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Disappointment, but not failure. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
But it's a disappointment, but at the same token, they laid a good foundation going forward from where this program was and when Gate took over in 2022, where I know that was the worst year they ever had, but it needed to be a chemo year after everything that was going on at the end of the Desco era. So it would be disappointing, but they've at least made a foundation where this program could get somewhere again.
Are they ever going to have a senior class like this one?
Never say never.
True.
Especially...
Well, in that case, it kind of has to be. Because if Lars is going to be coaching the team, it kind of has to then be a disappointment. You know? Like in that case, that's a whole different conversation. It's like the waffle pancake thing. It's like that's a totally different sentence. Lars coaching Cuse in 2 years is a totally different topic.
Yeah, that's a conversation I'll wait to have on Saturday.
That's right. I think they kind of got to win. Safe. I think you think they gotta have to win.
I was going to make a joke of like who walks first if Cuse loses. So that's Gate or Lars.
Or Bresci. Bresci get the Duffy thing to like just excuse a potential is incredible.
What can we do? We lost the towards in finals.
He always wins.
But it kind of goes to what all of us were talking about UNC, where like the people got to eat and stuff. Love what we got. Love. Great player, dynamic, fun to watch. All that. Could also maybe see not less is more, but like someone else has got to take those shots, and you have guys who are shooting 30-40%. As long as don't overly rely the young Petro. I don't know.
The problem is they gotta create their own shot now.
For sure.
Which maybe listen.
If Brady is on one, and he can and then he just gets it you're kind of running downhill because he's got a clean clean face-off win. Then all of a sudden things just kind of change, switching and stuff like that starts to happen more often than the Cuse would like. That's the one thing I'm thinking of, and young Petro still lights it up. I think I hear both the tweet that he just responded to about how they now move to a should win for Cuse. I hear that. Yeah,
I think it's always been I just think even if Duffy played, to me, obviously yes, if you lose to Cuse UNC without Duffy, that's Jesus Christ, dude. I think it has to be either way. I don't know. Look, you can't claim that your expectations are to win the national championship, and that's what pretty much every Cuse fan I saw said. And that's what the Cuse team themselves said. It can't be we're going to win the national title and then lose in the quarterfinals and not be a disappointment. In that case, I think you have to. This whole thing with this group has been building up for 4 years. If in that case you have to make the Final Four. Anything else is if they lose. How many games have they lost this year?
5, right?
If they finish 0-6 against top 5 teams in Joey Spallina's senior year after they got to number 1 in the country, like, I think they gotta. Like, I don't think there's any other. Look, there's a reason we put them as the number one. Dan Campbell, this might be our only shot team. Like, this, I'm not. Again, it's not that it's never gonna happen again, but it's gonna be. It might be a minute.
Well, I don't want to hold you, but one thing last year about the Duffy thing, like, popped off the most recent game, the 12-10 win, with 9 points. As you talked about, Jake, the distribution is big for Owen, as we all know, 6 assists. 8 shots, 1 goal. That one.
No,
and in the first game, like, again, more pedestrian, 3 total points, 1 goal, 2 assists, 9 shots.
Here's the thing. It's like, he is the offense. Like, he has 32%. He has 1/3 of their assists by himself.
He's a monster on that.
Like, their next after. Now, where I will say for UNC, even if he plays, which if he plays, I don't know what. If maybe Quinn exaggerated, maybe he didn't actually tear his hamstring. Now, granted, hamstring injury are kind of all like degrees of, you're sort of tearing, like, it's all kind of a tear to a degree. But I guess it depends on what degree. Like, maybe he just kind of like lightly strained it, or maybe he actually full blown tore the hamstring. In which case, if he did, I know Pat Cav, that happened to Pat Cav. One, Pat Cav was very hindered that Final Four weekend. Like, it was noticeable. People were like, man, Pat Cav doesn't look like himself. 2, Pat Cav and Owen Duffy are completely different players. Like, just wildly different. But yeah, like, Owen Duffy has 39 assists. UNC's next 4 players have 39 assists. Like,
we got to recreate them in the aggregate. Yeah.
Basically, here's the thing. You can't. So your offense has to be a lot different. Now, where I will say UNC could have success, and again, this is whether he plays or not, is Yale's attack. Yale ran their entire offense through the midfield in that game.
Yeah.
And they gusted Cuse's defense. I mean, Yale was getting those Yale middies were winning their matchups time after time after time. If you're Carolina with that freshman midfield unit that you have, that you've been kind of riding all year in the hopes that they're going to peak at the right time as freshmen, I think that's how you got to attack them. You got to get all those freshman middies who are all got size and all got speed and are all capable of doing their thing, and you got to say, we're going to put the ball in your hands, and you're going to go attack your man, clear it out, and let them dodge and see if they can score. And if Cuse's defensive midfield doesn't play better, they're going to lose this game. Like, they can't play as poorly as they did against Yale and win. Their defensive midfield has to be significantly better.
All right, I do have to jump. Mark, I might do it from the parking lot. Probably wait till I get home. We'll see what's what. Maybe we'll get Adam in the parking lot too. We'll see.
Yeah, a nice one this weekend. It's all like 80s.
Yeah, it should be lower. Actually, even more comfortable. Lower 70s here on the island on Saturday. It'll get up to the 80s on Sunday, but 71 on Saturday. So not too hot. I know last year it got up to like 80, and it was sweltering in the bleachers there. Even though it wasn't that hot, but it was felt a lot hotter last year with the bleachers. All right, so I'll see you guys later.
See you around.
See you around.
All right, Safe, where do you want to go?
Oh, let's do Georgetown Duke first.
Okay. I like Georgetown in this game. Listen, Duke, they won 2 in a row. We talked about the dynamic of Duke being able to have sort of house money with, like, it's a Danowski team that has like no expectations on them, which is a position that they're never in. I just think if I look at last week and I say who is more likely to recreate their win, Duke, there are aspects of Duke's win that I think they could recreate. I think the way they played on offense with their midfield, I gotta be true to my heart, like, like I gotta go back to the old me.
Authenticity. That's what people will come here for, Dick.
This podcast was like the breeding ground of the Georgetown, movement.
We built it brick by brick. We built this Georgetown program.
Like we were down there, we put in the hard yards. Like
Just,
I was there. I had the hard. Me and Warren were there with shovels.
just every day, clocking in, going to the cold face, getting home.
Like Warren was
Back
doing
the
all the
next day.
like obviously Warren and them did the hard work, but I was there like next to them being like, I believe in you guys. 3 years. You know? You know?
Warren, John Thompson, check this out.
I think Duke could recreate some of it with how they attacked Richmond's midfield. I liked how they went to the invert game. Liam Curtius was really effective for them in that regard. Their offense, look, the way the offense, I mean, he had 3 goals and 2 assists. The way the offense played the past couple games against UNC and obviously Richmond is incredibly encouraging. But I just look, is Duke going to win like 85% of the faceoffs again? You know, I don't know. Whereas if I look at Georgetown and I'm like, can they recreate the conditions? Now, if you're looking at the bearish Georgetown perspective, it's, hey, you can't fail 7 clears again. You can't turn the ball over the way you did in the second half. I don't think they would. I mean, that game was kind of great, but it's like if you do those things again, you're definitely going to lose. But I just look at how Georgetown was able to Liam Connor playing without the ball. He has been their whole offense for so much of the season. I mean, I mentioned how Owen Duffy is like, you know, the total distribution hub of UNC's entire attack. He has 1/3 of their assists by himself. Liam Connor has 53 assists. Georgetown's next leading assister is his brother with 14. It's Georgetown's next 5 guys to add up Liam Connor's total number of assists. And you know the way he played without the ball, and I just think that allowed everybody else to get involved. I see how Duke's defensive midfield struggled against Richmond, and I think of how well Georgetown's midfield played against Virginia. Those were the guys that kind of led the charge for them in the 14-10 win. You had big games from Jack Ransom, who had a hat trick and an assist. Jake Bickle had a goal. Matty Mason had a goal and an assist. Rory Connor himself obviously had a really good game, but I just really liked the way that Georgetown's offense was able to clearly move Connor around. He was able to kind of just occupy space. Like they didn't force it. And I think they can replicate that as a potential strategy against Duke, especially if Duke's defensive midfield has some of those same struggles. I think this is going to be a defensive game. I see this as these are two really good. These are two teams whose identity I still think is run through their defense. I know Georgetown has the Connor brothers, but Georgetown won. I mean, Georgetown's defense was incredible in that game against Virginia. I mean, they were really under siege, and that's the identity of that program. And I'm thinking if it's a defensive type game, I kind of go with the team who has the better goalie, which I think is Anderson Moore. I think face-offs, I think will kind of be pretty even. I don't know. I just like this matchup. I mean, they did play last year. I don't know how much you kind of put into that. I mean, the teams are similar. They're not like it's obviously they're different. It's the different season. There's different pieces. They did play last year, and Georgetown did win that game. I like the matchup for them then. I think if you're telling me this could be a lower scoring game where both teams are kind of led by their defense, that to me feels like Georgetown's bag. And now, granted, that was the case last year against Maryland, but to me against Maryland, it was like Georgetown was like playing their big brother against Maryland. It was like everything Georgetown wanted to do, Maryland does a little bit better. I don't think that's quite the case with Duke. So I don't know. It's going to be a close game. Obviously, Duke can win. Obviously, yes, Georgetown's lost a million quarterfinals in a row, and Dino's Dino. But I got a feeling, and I do like the match. And look, they've lost a bunch of quarterfinals in a row. The teams they've lost the quarterfinals to are the national champion, a Final Four team, the national champion, and the national runner-up. Like they lost Final Four, they lost their 4 quarterfinal losses are to a 2 seed, the 1 seed, and the team that won the national title. I mean, Duke's playing really well, but they're not quite that, you know. So, I think this one's a toss-up. Like, I think if you're really looking at it, I think people are going to pick Duke because it's Duke and it's Georgetown. And it's like, you know, Duke wins these games and Georgetown doesn't, and that's fair. I think if you actually look at the teams on the field, I see no reason why Georgetown can't do this thing again.
No, I like what you said about replicating what they did last week. I mean, raw numbers from next round. Duke was plus 13 in possession. 75% of face-off wins. I don't want to say this like only, but you know they because they were on the road, biggest crowd in first round ever. So yeah, don't want to dismiss that or just like wave it away. But yeah, the defense, you know, gave 37% efficiency, and you know turnovers are pretty healthy. But you know, still with all that, they had a plus 13 advantage, and they won that game by 2. Georgetown, equally difficult environment, maybe even worse.
Georgetown was -6 in possessions against Virginia.
That's what I say. Yeah, raw numbers. I thought it said -10, but yeah, either way. But my point was, you were saying like I don't see Georgetown only winning 25% in faceoffs. No. I don't see Georgetown defense having 35% efficiency, and Georgetown's offense has been top 7. Right now. Throughout the year, and I just with the Connors, like they're still going to put in some points, and I thought Duke. I didn't want to dismiss Richmond. What they did great. Definitely see bright days ahead for the program, but it feels like maybe push and shove. We were talking about that 1% difference between like the elite and like really good lacrosse player. And and they didn't really bully Richmond around. Honestly, Richmond, you can make a really good case if they threw that game away. With the 3-goal lead. In the late in the fourth. So, but I don't think Duke will be able to do that against Georgetown, because I think Georgetown's been tested. Like their season has not been great. We've talked about all their non-conference losses, but I think also to an extent built character or something. That's kind of the reason why they're on this I guess 9-game winning streak now. Sorry, forgive me, 8-game winning streak. But 10 of the 10 of the last 11 they've won. So since losing that 3-game stretch, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Richmond. So I just feel like they've been playing really well. Warren's got them, and I think Warren really got them to believe that when he said in that I guess pregame where he's like, no one's going to beat us today, and I'm sure they said it a lot in the past. They didn't get to the Final Four where they wanted to get, but not collapsing in that moment when really again, Virginia was doing everything they could to not take advantage, but all those turnovers and still being able to I thought Moore really just play what they needed. Just things are kind of collapsing around. Clinging to a slim lead, and you have a goalie there that kind of steps up and really kind of put some steel back into their spine. And I really thought the way that they closed that game was super impressive. And just going for the throat, it just was something different than I've seen from Georgetown team. Again, usually their failures in the second round, but just really impressed. And I thought Virginia was going to be, still their bugaboo, at home, just the history, it's the way they were playing. And I think that is their most impressive win since Notre Dame of, the 2021 season. So, I'm with you. I could see them being an underdog, but for me, I would say maybe Duke 1.5. I don't see them 2 or 3 goal. This is potentially overtime, if not, Georgetown winning, not walking away, but kind of winning a 2-goal win on their own side. So
it's all to me, it's all Stanford just pulled within one of UNC, by the way. Good game here. It's all about who can kind of replicate. Like these are two teams who played their best games of the year, or at least their most inspired performances last week. To me, it's who can most replicate the conditions of that. And Duke's just feels a little like, do I think Duke can play as well on offense? I do. I do think Duke has found some things on the offensive side of the ball that have worked. Clark mentioned it a lot in that UNC game. They're getting the ball behind the goal so much more than they were early in the year. Before, so much was up top with Johnston and Sloat, and it was just it kind of felt like ramming their head against the wall. Remember that Cornell game in the second half where it was just just again and again. Since they've started to get an X presence, things have really changed for them. But I just look at some things. Like, here's a good example. Say Duke was +8 in ground balls against Richmond in the game where they won the faceoffs by 14.
Yeah.
If you're going to lose the ground ball battle like by 6 or 7 or 8 in this game, the goalie play, you mentioned how great Moore played. Buckingham for Duke, only 7 saves. Didn't wind up hurting them because Richmond only took 27 shots and Duke took 40. And again, like it's not that Duke only won because of the faceoffs. They did. Like their offense played well regardless of that. And look, they made some big plays. They had to answer the bell themselves. They were down 12-9. And they definitely looked, I guess you could say, how much were they the deeper team than Richmond? Or how much of that was just like the faceoffs just sapping Richmond's energy, the body blows towards the end. But Duke got plays from down the lineup. Did well. I just think Georgetown, to me, really controlled that game in the half court. And while, yes, Virginia was able to speed them up, and Virginia was able to go to the ride, and it caused Georgetown a bunch of problems. I guess that's one thing, too. Duke, you mentioned Duke's ride has been a lot better the past couple weeks, and it's kind of showed a ride that's caused some problems. I imagine they're going to use that a lot against Georgetown, considering Georgetown struggles against the 10-man. So that's an element of it. Listen, if Duke can repeat the possession advantage that they've had, I think they'll win this game. Because it's just not in Georgetown's nature to kind of overcome a big possession. To overcome a big possession deficit, you kind of got to play faster. You got to create. That's not really in Georgetown's nature. But I think to your point, I don't see Duke being +10 on possessions in this game. I just think Cal Gerard actually was struggling going into that Richmond game. He hadn't been playing well the past 4 weeks. He was under 50%, and he had the best game of his career. So I just think if this is a game more close at the possessions, and this is a kind of defensive game the way we might expect, I think I kind of like how it favors these teams. It's same as last year. These teams are just very similar. Their defense is their strength. If they can get an advantage at the faceoff, they're going to be really tough to beat because they'll play methodical and buttoned up. But on the offensive side, I do think Georgetown I think Georgetown's defense is maybe a bit. I don't know. I mean, Duke's got Abe McGuire, Charlie Johnson's great, but I just love the way that Georgetown defense played against. So active, sticks in the passing lane, and on the offensive side of the ball, I do think Georgetown has. With the Connors, I do think there's an extra, basically this. If you put the Connors on Duke, I think Duke would win the national championship. Like if you put those guys on Duke's, I think they would. Like this is a totally different Duke team if you put those guys out there. But again, to me, what was impressive about what Georgetown did was the fact that, Liam Connor really, I think, has had just an unsung year, maybe you could say. Say this is great. How many shots do you think Liam Connor has taken this year?
I'm going to go like something surprising about 50.
He's taken 56 shots.
Oh my God! Look at that.
He has 53 assists and 56 shots.
That's like 4 games per Duffy.
I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah, I'm with you. Maybe we should just say Duke verbally, just because like Georgetown. I think this is their best shot.
exactly. I guess that's part of it for me. It's like, do you think Warren is going to make a Final Four at Georgetown?
What point exactly? Go back, rewind that. The teams that they've lost to get to this recent run. You think about like Yale,
Virginia 21, Virginia 23, Notre Dame 24, Maryland 25.
And I'll go a little further back, right? Yale didn't win, but they were the runner-up, in 2019.
So they've lost to the champion or the runner-up in 1, 2, 3, in 4 of their 6 losses. I mean, that's pretty. I guess my thing is, listen, if Duke won, would I be surprised? By no means whatsoever. It's and there certainly does appear like like they've got a house money, something like that. Do you think Warren's going to make a Final Four at Georgetown?
I don't want to say if he's going to do it. This is the year. Only because I think more time. This is their best.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. Do you think?
Okay. And this in that case, year, I think it's going to happen.
If he's going to do it, I think it's going to happen. And so, if he's going to do it, this is their best shot. I mean, 22 was their best shot, and they blew it. So now they got to do it the hard way. I don't know. I think it's going to happen. I think, basically to me, it's like that Virginia win, I think, did signify something in that you can no longer say it's like a fluke that they just beat these Big Ten or ACC teams. It's like there's clearly something to them playing better in that first round. Now, the quarterfinal, they have to, but also it's like that 21 thing, that's gone too. Like they lost to Maryland last year. It was a close game. They lost to Notre Dame in 24. Like, listen, dude, Notre Dame blew everybody out that game. They lost to Virginia 23, competitive game. So that Virginia 21 thing is definitely gone. Like, I don't know. I would not be surprised if Duke won. I just think Georgetown's if I map out all the likely scenarios of this game, I think more of them favor Georgetown. There's a scenario, yes, where Duke is successful again at the face-offs. Their offense that they've comes along, and Georgetown maybe goes a bit. Maybe Georgetown struggles, clears. That's definitely possible. I just think in more scenarios, Georgetown comes out on top.
Let's see what they lost in 2018. Duke, also runner-up. Jesus Christ!
What do you mean?
I was just I think you may have called that, but I was like, in 2018, there were
2018 they lost to Hopkins.
Well, then look at the wrong thing. Sorry.
No, yeah, 2018 was Hopkins. Remember that was the Kyle Moore game?
Yeah, it must have been. I guess I'm looking at some different year. But yeah, still, our point still stands. If they're losing to the champion or runner-up, and this is a year where this is going to happen. I think it's going to happen this year. I don't think it has to happen. I don't think it's the only time ever, but this definitely feels like the furthest they've been with the best shot to get to the next level.
Listen, if it doesn't happen, this year, I promise not to say it's going to happen for at least another 10 months. Yeah. I'll wait until How about this? I'll wait 12 months. I won't say it's going to happen in February. Will I talk myself into it again next May? I'm not.
It'll be Labor Day before you even know it, Jake. I'm telling you, as soon as we're done Memorial.
We're just doing the fall ball top 20, and I'm like, safe, Georgetown 3.
I haven't said this in a long time, safe, but this is Georgetown team. I feel it this year.
All right, do you want to do Penn State, Princeton, or you want to swing back around and save that one?
Yeah, it was Penn State, Princeton.
Okay.
Because I was thinking a bit what you were talking with Brian, and it's just it's almost counterintuitive because the way Princeton kind of dump truck Cornell is a little bit of a not slow stuff, but kind of built into it. I feel like kind of what we were saying before, I was the Yale game. We were taping or just before you were saying the day before we were if Princeton's the team we think they are, they would just dust this Yale team. And then all of a sudden, they drop 8 goals. And that's kind of how I feel about the Penn State. Not that that I expect them to hit 20 and maybe double up Penn State or something like that. But I do feel like if Princeton is the national championship team that we think they are, I think we're going to see it kind of early. Like I think well, if it's Penn State jumps out or it's that kind of close game, then I'm not saying that Princeton's not a national champion, but it's just like that. This prediction's wrong. But like the way they've been playing recently, the way they went through the Ivy, Torch obviously didn't think they were going to have that much of a challenge in their first round game, but just really humming and really feels like they've kind of found something in that offense that they've kind of had throughout the year, but just kind of another level. Now the highest offense of remaining because Richmond was still number one, but at 39.1%, like I just feel like Penn State can obviously play. They took it to them. I saw it live. I couldn't believe what I was seeing that first quarter. But yeah, the rest of the game, we could kind of like try to color that. After the first quarter, Princeton did not bad, but they actually didn't do that bad. But it's a kind of a weak argument to make. But besides that first quarter, the game against Cornell, which really kind of were a little bit in, still in it like late. They really have met the challenge, and I think it's a big way the last third of the season. And like I said, if they are the team I think they are, like again, I don't see them dusting Penn State, but I see them, having a comfortable win, and because like Penn State's a team that's also has a potential to win the title, given the offense in the way they can, like the ceiling that they can get. But like, if we see Princeton pull out this game, they win like 2 or 3 goals. Like, I think like our prediction of like them, kind of raising it on Memorial Day Monday is stronger. But yeah, this is a kind of a really close game where they have to come back against Penn State. Yeah, not saying that they can't win the title, but just a little bit more open than I thought. But yeah, I feel like if Princeton's really out of that team, then I think we may see it early, kind of like a reversal of what they did against Penn State early in the season, similar to how they like kind of turned around and just dusted Cornell, after losing to them, 13-11. So yeah, that's how I feel. Like I feel like they've kind of found something. They haven't given up double digits aside from the Harvard game since Brown. So defense is kind of like getting together where it needs to be. Offense is really humming, 54% against Cornell. That's just, lights out. Didn't need to put any more on Maris, once they're, kind of in the second half, but, that's still like an impressive effort. Felt like not coasting, but, they kind of got 17 with, that much of a sweat. So that's how I feel. I feel like I like Penn State, obviously, shout out to the Big Ten, but seeing them the second time around, I think Madeline, I really, like what he did when he saw Cornell the second time around. Like what he did against Yale when he saw them the second time around. Saw Yale first time around, 11-10, turn, like let's see him again. Was it's only 12-10, but it felt like much more commanding than they were before. Like that game earlier in the year felt like I think Yale was pretty much tied with like minutes to play. So kind of
that was very close. Yale had a chance to tie, yeah.
So I feel like here, like get another look at Penn State. I don't know. I feel it.
I think you're right in that. Listen, we talk about it. Champions save their best performance generally for this weekend. Sometimes you can, there are some teams who manage to peak. I think like the year you were there when Notre Dame beat Duke. That felt like a team who saved their absolute best for last. Like the way they played against Duke and that I mean there was so much with that. They had the huge crowd advantage. It really felt like it was just everything came together. But I do think Notre Dame saved like their best game for that day. But generally, when you think, I guess maybe Virginia in 2019 too. I think you were at that one too, when they just kind of jumped on Yale in that one. So like. But generally, for the most part, the champion saves their best game for this spot. And it's like, if Princeton is, I think you're right. It's like, if Princeton is as good as we think, they're going to win. Because the number 1 seed wins this game. 95, 96, 97, 90% of the time. A team at Princeton, the level of Princeton that we've seen, we can't. If we agree that the Princeton of the past the couple weeks that we've seen that beat Yale, then beat Cornell in that Ivy League tournament, obviously they blew up Marist. If we think this is Princeton's ceiling, I do believe that's the highest ceiling of any team in the country. Then you know what? Yes, getting Penn State is tough, but if we think Princeton's A game is the best, you got to bring your A game this weekend. That's the bottom line. That's why it's the quarterfinals. That's why it's, it's the second to last game you're going to play on full rest. It's the last real normal week of prep you have. The first round you don't, because it's usually graduation and finals and things like that. The championship game isn't, because you got like the Friday practice is different. You got media and things like that. This is the last normal week you have. This is a normal, game week prep. And so I think in that regard, you're 100% right. Where I think what I'm interested in this is that when Penn State loses, they are a completely different team. The numbers, it usually isn't like this. Usually, like when teams lose, they might play worse. But like here's Penn State. In Penn State's 10 wins, here are their stats. They are 41% adjusted offensive efficiency. Over a full season, Safe, where do you think that would rank in the country?
41%?
Yes.
Offensive number one.
Yep. In Penn State's 10 wins, their defensive efficiency is 18.3%. Safe, where do you think that would rank in the country?
I would say top 4, 5, like fifth.
Number one.
Number one?
In Penn State's wins, they win 68% of their faceoffs. Safe, where do you think that would rank in the country?
66, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, 3, 2?
2. And Preston Hawkins in Penn State's wins, saves, for the season he saves 52%. He saves 58% in their 10 wins. That would rank 13th in the country. So when Penn State wins, they are the best team in the country. Like, I don't know other way to put it. Like, and listen, it makes sense because you look at their wins, and they beat Colgate by 4. They beat Princeton by 6. They beat Yale by 10. They beat Cornell by 12. They beat Maryland by 4. They beat Ohio State by 6. They beat Rutgers by 8. They beat Maryland by 2. They beat Hopkins by 8. And they beat Army by 4. Penn State's average margin of victory in their 10 wins is, hang on, I'm going to have it in, it's 6.7 goals per game. In their 10 wins, they absolutely obliterate teams. Now, let's turn that around. In Penn State's losses, their adjusted offensive efficiency is 29.6%. Safe, that would rank 37th in the country over a full season. Their adjusted defensive efficiency is 28.2% in their losses. That would rank over a full season 28th. Their adjusted faceoff efficiency does hold up at 63.4%. But Preston Hawkins' save percentage like nosedives. So it's not going to be that way in this game either way. I do not believe if Penn State wins, they're going to blow Princeton out. I don't see that. I think they definitely could win. I'm tempted to pick them to win, but I don't think they're going to blow them out. On the flip side, I also don't think that if Penn State loses, they're going to get blown out by Princeton either. So I guess it's how is within the game, can Penn State maintain a level? Because that's the thing with Princeton. Princeton really doesn't have a floor. Like, there's not, like, Princeton never really dips. It's they can get hot, as we saw against Cornell and against Yale. But even in that Yale game, it was kind of like a elongated run. Like they just held Yale scoreless. They held Yale to what, 2 goals in the second half, something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's the exposure part. Yeah.
It was just they just beat you. Princeton just beats you everywhere for like 1 minute at a time. They beat you for 1 minute, they beat you for another. They just stack it. They just stack segments of the game where they're just better than you. Sometimes it's with their offense. Sometimes it's with Crosse making saves. Sometimes with Meekin. The Cornell game was like an outlier as far as like, oh my God, they just like went out there and like for 7-8 minutes were they blew the doors off them. To me, it's Princeton. Can they do that again? Can they just continually stack positive play? On the flip side for Penn State, it's your high points. If Penn State's gonna win this game, they're gonna need a run in here. Like it's got to be a patented Penn State run, like 5 or 6 goals, just shoot the lights out of the ball, bang, 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 bang. On the flip side for Penn State, whenever Princeton's run comes, it can't be a big run themselves. You got to minimize the damage. I guess that's my question: is if you're Penn State, is there just too much variance maybe in this team? And I kind of think that might be their undoing in the end. Is not that Penn State's going to show up and not play great, or not like and get blown out, but even within games, this Penn State team can still be pretty streaky. That first Maryland game is a great example. They went up 7-2 and then scored 1 goal for like the next half an hour. And I even think a really good example of this is Princeton turns the ball over less than any other team in the country on offense. They turn the ball over 20% of the time, like 1 out of every 5 offensive possessions. Penn State turns the ball over 1 out of every 3 offensive possessions. So I just think, is there too much? This might be the thing. Is Princeton's gonna? If you're Princeton, you got to be yourself. Just stack good, streaks of play. If you're Penn State, it's got to be your high point has to be super high. Like when Penn State goes on its run, it has to be a big one. It's got to be 4, 5, 6 goals. On the flip side, you got to hold Penn State Princeton when they make their run. Do I think they could do this? I do, just because I think they could win the faceoffs enough to, if this game is 60-40 or 65-35 Penn State, if Princeton gets below like 40% off faceoffs, I do think this could get dicey. Because Penn State could start plugging holes when Princeton makes a run, and they could start really propelling their own run. And then I think another thing maybe to look at is what's the disparity in the specialty areas. Is Princeton's faceoff gap larger than the save percentage gap or is Penn State's faceoff gap larger than Princeton's save percentage gap? Like if Craddock and Hawkins are like here, but Penn State on the faceoffs is like here, if you're listening to this on audio, I'm talking with my hands.
What was the formula Mads had? 1,000% for face-off and saves?
I think if they get 1,000%, they win this game. Yeah. Normally, I'm like, I think you need higher, but I think in this game, if they get 1,000%, I think they can work with that.
I feel if they get a replacement level game from Craddock, this is pretty good for him.
If you get a good game from McMeekin.
Yeah.
Like you can't get a replacement level game from Craddock if you
can't lose like 65% or so. Yeah, for sure. Good game from Craddock. Keep it within 45, maybe a little bit north of that in the faceoffs, and then I think they got this. Because I think Penn State will give them the ball. Like they gave,
they give everybody the ball.
You want to try? I mean, shout out to Mark. I like Lars's agent, Madeline, called me and said there's no truth to the rumors about the restraining order. I just wanted to go on the record.
They shows up to Newark.
It's like,
hey, are you gonna go to Chicago for the Hopkins women?
No one had a weekend. Around
the world.
Back to Charlottesville for the title.
That would be the perfect way to finish the Safe World Tour.
That would be.
Oh man, this game's gonna be a classic. I think this game's gonna be awesome.
Ring the core again.
I'm gonna. Oh, well, I do think that game. I was talking Penn State Princeton, but I agree. I think no, Safe. I'll go out and say it. I think the winner of this game wins the national championship.
I think so too, man.
I think if
Penn State makes a 2016 UNC run, or Princeton, the king has returned type of thing. They actually.
All right, last one. We did talk UNC. My thoughts are pretty much there. Like I think the way Cuse's defensive midfield play concerned me. Because that's an avenue for UNC to win the game without Duffy. Is just feed those big midfielders, all those freshman minis, all those athletic midfielders UNC has. It's like, go hunt, go eat. The Cuse has got to find a different, answer. Now I will say, if you're Cuse, if there's no Duffy, you feel a lot comfortable sliding more aggressively because there's less to hurt you on the back end. The ball movement you figure the ball movement won't spin as much. You obviously have to be careful sliding off of Petro, but I think you could maybe slide off of everybody else, and that's where, it. Also for UNC, we can't forget the goalie thing. Kent Good, like if he's going to play again, I mean, he played well against Albany, but this is a different assignment. We saw Ben Friedman for Yale struggle against Cuse. Jimmy McCool, meanwhile, started slow, but was tremendous at the end of that game. I think Cuse is going to take it.
Ooh.
They gotta, like, a part of that's like they gotta win. And I think 3-0. I think there's something there, and I think the Duffy thing is enough to tilt it. That offense just has to. He is that offense, and does he take too many shots? Yes. Does the ball sometimes die in his stick? Yes. But we've seen it so many times. When you lose your main distributor, when you lose the hub of that offense, like the head of the snake, it just goes like, it was great. Look, it worked really well against, Albany. This is a different assignment. I think the goalie play too, I think could show up here. I just think it becomes a lot more comfortable to defend UNC. It's like when we talk about when you lose your top defender, everybody else has to bump up, and it becomes a real worry. On the flip side for Cuse, it's if you're UNC and you lose Duffy, everybody on Cuse now feels like they get to hunt a little bit more because you don't have to worry about Duffy. It's like if Duffy's like you don't want to slide too early when Duffy's there, because if the ball winds up spinning its way back to him, it's checkmate, because he's going to find somebody or he could take it himself. Without him, it's like, don't slide to Petro. Don't slide off Petro. But otherwise, it's also like, if UNC doesn't have guys, like, when Duffy's the main guy who's passed, like, all these assists, it kind of becomes, you have to make everybody else a feeder. We know, like, all these UNC freshman midfielders, we know you can dodge. Can you pass? Can you pass out of a double team? That becomes a different question. And so it makes the assignment just easier. And so, I mean, I picked Cuse to win this game even if he was healthy. I think the 3 in a row thing, there is something to that. But yeah, I think Cuse has to win this game. I just think it's like, you just like, that's just it. Like, I think losing the quarterfinals is not. Are they a favorite?
Cuse? No. UNC's -1.5.
Still, even with interesting. Very interesting. All right.
Main event.
Hopkins Notre Dame. First game of the weekend. I think Hopkins has a much better chance in this game than most people would give them. Now listen, is it going to be hard? Of course. It's kind of like that what is it, the Moneyball scene where, Ron Washington, where they're trying to get Chris Pratt to play first base.
Anybody can do it, right? Jake, it's going to be incredibly hard. That's me. It's like, anybody can beat Notre Dame, right, Jake? You're like, no, it's going to be incredibly difficult.
Like, no, it's going to be very hard. Can you do it? Sure.
Whatever's worth doing is hard, though, Jake.
Notre Dame is a -3.5 goal favorite. I think this is maybe I agree. I think they will cover. I think second half starting at Stanford UNC, by the way, UNC is up 8-4 on the power play. I think Hopkins will cover. Ooh, good save by Stanford. I would maybe say 2.5. So I guess here's my thought process with this. Quint had an interesting comment about this. He said he thinks Hopkins should zone Notre Dame. Reason being, he thinks Notre Dame's zone offense is not great, and I agree. It's been a problem. They have a lot of great midfielders. They don't have as many great some of their shooting percentages are a little like Matt Jeffrey. Listen, dude, Matt Jeffrey off the dot, like that dude, Jeffrey, Faison, staying in front of these dudes is going to be a problem. I don't know if you can stay in front of some of these guys. But on the flip side, when they get their shut off, Jeffrey is shooting I think under 30% for the year. Dylan Faison is shooting, he's 6 of 31. Like some of the, Will Angrick is shooting 12 of, he's shooting under 25%. Maharrison, like the shooting percentages are a little, and zone offense. Remember Penn State last year went to a zone against Notre Dame, and it really kind of jammed them up. I think that the matchup defensively can work for Hopkins because we know you look at Carson Brown and you look at Luke Martin, and you feel really good about those guys on their matchups. The question is going to become, can Hopkins handle this midfield? And I think off the dodge, it's a concern. It is. I do worry about some of Hopkins' shorties on these guys. But this is where Hopkins' aggressive slide defense can actually work. Because you're going to have to, you make these guys passers. Now at times we see Hopkins can kind of overslide and overcommit. But I don't know. I think you tried in this one. And I think there's a way in which Hopkins can really kind of, like the Notre Dame, the Notre Dame teams of 23 and 24, what made them so deadly was, we talked about so many times, they could dodge you, but they had so many guys who were dangerous passers too. Like you had, Dobson became a guy who could pass out of a double team as well. The 24 team was running, Devin McClain, and if he could pass out, doubles. Faison kind of developed a little bit as well. I don't know about as much with these, and also those guys could all shoot the heck out of the ball too. Not quite the same. Where I worry for Hopkins is Notre Dame is deep. Like they were going to run. It's kind of like Penn State. They're going to run waves of midfielders at you. Can Hopkins hang up for those body blows for 60 minutes? Like, do they have the depth? I love Reese DeChico. I like some of the, their top shorts, Rory Calhoun. I like their top shorties. Does Hopkins have the depth there at the defensive midfield to hang up for that? That's where potentially a zone, could come into play. I guess to me, it's like this is going to be kind of like Georgetown Duke. This is going to be a defensive game. This is going to be a bit of a slugfest. And obviously Notre Dame is comfortable there. But the question is Notre Dame going to pull away in the same way? And I'm not sure. Obviously, there's the face-off factor. Joe Hobart, where's he at? Notre Dame's face-off group is really good. It's not Will Lynch, but it is really good. And Rich Yardelli's playing very well. Safe, maybe a minor concern with Jelinas. Last 3 games haven't been great. Been sub 50% in all of them. Obviously, didn't play well at all against Cornell. They didn't have to. If you want to be optimistic, it's, hey, he's due for a good game. And, if Hopkins is going to make a Final Four, it was going to have to be with Jelinas having a big game. They're not going to get by with that. But on the defensive side of the ball, I do think there's some looks Hopkins can throw at Notre Dame to where if this is 1st to 10, Hopkins has a shot. They've got a really good shot. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to win. But if this gets to 11 or 12 or 13, if Notre Dame starts spinning the ball around and getting a lot of assisted goals, I think it's done. But if this is 1st to 10, I think Hopkins is a good shot. And I do think on that side of the ball, this could be a 1st to 10 type of game.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. I want it to be maybe 4-5, 6-4, halftime. If Hopkins goes in that halftime with the lead, would be fantastic. But similar with the Princeton comments, I think I'll know how Hopkins is going to be early. I know they've had so many great comeback wins this season. It's been really dramatic, but I don't think you can really go down big against Notre Dame and really expect to come back. Just they're just not Ironically enough, because Virginia did beat them. I don't think you're going to be able to do those magical comebacks like you did against UVA against the Irish. But also, a little bit concerned of Riccatelli get a little bit hot, and then Hopkins going through a little bit of a cold spurt. Then we'll see Notre Dame running away, doing a Princeton 8 goals in 1 quarter. But they can just grind you down and just kind of push you to a point where you're just kind of difficult to even get your offense in type of cohesive, in type of coherent attack. So feel a little bit concerned that maybe a redo of I'm thinking was it 2018 was the Notre Dame 2019.
2019. I don't think it's not going to be that good.
I hope it also still be better than 2023, even though that
I think that's the. I don't think that's the most likely outcome. I think that's the worry. It's just it's never. Hopkins was never at any point
like a mirage. You're in it, but not. You never. Anytime you get within 2, they get the ball, get back up 4. That's my concern. Yeah, Matt or Mark. Yeah, it's called actually. Shout out to Gemini. Just go back to Christopher. The Madden 1000 refers to a benchmark performance metric for lacrosse goalies popularized during the coaching tenure of Matt Madeline. It's not a standard for face-off stat, but rather a combined effectiveness rating for teams, defense, and goalie. But yeah, Madden 1000 save percentage times 1,000 plus face-off percentage times 1,000. If it goes over 1,000, then they tend to win. Anything below that, usually it's a tough time. But again, just
in that game, man. So that 23 game. I'm looking at it now.
Which I also think I felt good. I felt like we got a little robbed there a couple of times when it was 12-10.
This is the game
I think that was
Hopkins won. This is what I also think. To a degree, maybe Hopkins isn't. Sometimes I worry if Hopkins gets transition in this game, they have to push it as much as they can. Because I'm looking at that 23 game. Hopkins won 11 of 13 faceoffs in the first half of that game, and Notre Dame took 12 more shots than they did. That shouldn't be physically possible. It should not be possible to win 9 more faceoffs and take 12 fewer shots. That's just not Notre Dame. Hopkins won 16 of 24 faceoffs for the game. They had 2 fewer turnovers than Notre Dame did. They failed 3 clears, but Notre Dame also failed 2 clears. And yet Notre Dame took 12 more shots than Hopkins did in that game. I just don't that. That's not possible. And to me, that's where Milliman's kind of, where they're very methodical and they go deep in the shot clock. It did work against Cornell. It was a great strategy. I'm not saying don't do it here, but it's listen, man, it's hard to beat Notre Dame, be a Notre Dame. You kind of have to, I think you have to find ways to speed them up. And so I agree, send some doubles, or press out on defense. Throw a ride at them, speed the game up, give yourself some transition opportunities, because that, I just, if you're really trying to win, in that same fashion, that's going to be really difficult. And this where on the offensive side of the ball, I am intrigued. I think that Notre Dame lost that game to Penn State last year for a lot of reasons, but in part because they had a big reason, maybe number one, was they had no answer for Matt Traynor. And he went off for 6 goals. And they didn't put Sean Light on Matt Traynor that entire game. I think that they're going to put Will Donovan on Matt Collison. Now, Will Donovan is the number 1 or number 2 long stick midi in the country. He's awesome. If you're Matt Collison, this has got to be green light special. This has to be your game.
Oh yes, it's Collison time.
You are the best. You are the best player on your team, on your offense. and they are not covering you with their best defender, I mean, it's got to be go time every chance you get. And I think for Hopkins, it's kitchen sink. Throw as many picks as you can. Notre Dame is going to switch. Notre Dame switches everything. Hunt the shorty. You're going to get the shorty matchups. Hunt them. It's got to be green light. You get a shorty, go for it. And it's like if Sean Light is going to cover Charlie Eiler, I think if you're Hopkins, it's like, okay, what are you really doing the whole game? Like Eiler's just not a huge part of hasn't been a huge part of Hopkins' offense. It's you're going to have to keep him involved, obviously. But to me, it's like if you're Hopkins, that's a win.
Get the best defenseman out. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. If Light's gonna cover Eiler behind the goal for okay, cool. Hopkins runs most of their offense through their midfield anyway. And so if Notre Dame's best defender isn't going to be involved, this is where I do kind of have some issues with how Notre Dame uses Light. It's like he's awesome, but it feels to some degree he gets too far out of the game. Yes, he takes his guy out of the game, but there's also a lot else going on too. And I just kind of wonder, do they basically just let him I don't know. I think Hopkins would kind of be like, yeah, sure. Listen, if he's going to guard Eiler, if I'm Eiler, run to the corner, go to the corner, play 5-on-5, play 5-on-5, jam it up. So that's the thing that happens is, I do think there's a lot of areas in this game where it can benefit them. However, they're still going to have to do things out of the norm. They're going to have to get transition goals, at least 2 or 3. They're going to have to try and force failed Notre Dame clears. Because it's like, even if you play the best version of your game against Notre Dame, it's still probably going to be a 1-goal game either way.
No, I love everything. It's like zone it here and there, switch up, double, press. As soon as you get the ball, go if there's any type of advantage. Don't let Notre Dame get comfortable. I mean, the 2 games that they lost to Virginia, what does Virginia do when Virginia's playing well? They don't really get comfortable. They can kind of go up and down, make you have to kind of run with the runner type thing. And not that Notre Dame is incapable of running, but that's just not what they're looking to do, really. So everything you can do to make them uncomfortable, especially if you can get to Rich Daly a little bit early. Yeah. And then just keep that intensity. I mean, the Luke Martin, Tom Cruise-esque slide for that ground ball. And I thought it was Mission Impossible 2 when he jumps over one of the cars or something like that, just slides. So it was amazing. And that intensity, what kind of mentioned last week with when I was with us, that's the hallmark of a Milliman team. If you're trying to feel an identity, it's just all out effort, 100%. I just love how they play on D. And even with the loss of Kilrain, next man up. I was concerned when we lost, but I remember when we were jumped in on that game show, the preview show where you're how you feel now? We're Kilrain. I was yeah, it sucks. But I just felt something about this team that just I'm not saying all the way to Memorial Day Monday, but it definitely is they're just going to keep coming at you, relentless. It's just until the whistle blows. So
this game's going to be close. I just think Hopkins. Notre Dame is not going to beat again. They're not going to beat themselves, and they are very deep, and they're going to throw midfielders at you in waves on that side of the ball. Rich Yardelli's going to play really well. Look, they've started to put it together. They're in all 4 quadrants. They're top 10 in the country now. They are playing some of their best lacrosse at the right time. If you're going to beat Notre Dame, as you said, you've got to make them uncomfortable. You have to do something to. The best compliment you can give them is that Notre Dame very rarely, unless it's to Maryland, when does Notre Dame really ever lose a Notre Dame type game? It's Maryland can do it because Maryland also plays a very similar type of, it's similar. It's, it's 2 brothers going at it. Virginia beats Notre Dame because they don't play Notre Dame with Notre Dame's game. They do speed them up. They do make the game go to different. It's Notre Dame wants to play the game at 0.75x speed. Like Notre Dame wants to listen to the podcast at a very. They want to hear every syllable. If you want to beat them, you got to speak. You got to think that's like 1.5 times. Like, and now listen, they can. The thing is, the best Notre Dame teams, which when they were at their, those championship teams, is they could do that too. And I don't know if this Notre Dame team is quite like that. Their offense kind of proved me wrong a little bit more. They put up some big numbers. I'm still not sure this is the Notre Dame team that wants to try and get to 13 or 14. I think they want to kind of win it at 10-8. And so if it's Hopkins, maybe you could win it with 10, but it's got to be a 10 that, where you really threw, again, the kitchen sink at them. I think Notre Dame is going to win just because this is just my word with Hopkins. It's just I do think sometimes they don't kind of embrace the kind of chaos enough, and sometimes I do think they just try and sort of win it, like Adam mentioned, it's like if Pete Milliman had his way, kind of every game would sort of be that, methodical, like the Cornell game was. And it's like, listen, that was the best game he's coached at Hopkins.
You saw the gap at the end.
I love it. That was the best game he's coached at Hopkins. That type of game isn't going to win. Some parts of it would, like the defense, how they played for sure, but there's going to have to be more chaos in it for them to win. And so we'll see if that guy. But I agree. Like I think I'll pick Notre Dame. But I do think this game is going to be much closer than I think Hopkins covers. So I'll say Prince. I'll probably like Ryan, Princeton, Georgetown, Cuse, Notre Dame. I want to pick one upset in Princeton, Penn State, and Hopkins, Notre Dame. But I'm also picking 2 upsets in Georgetown and Cuse. So I don't know if I want to, it's probably enough upsets.
Don't tempt fate. I'll go Georgetown.
Okay.
North Carolina.
Okay.
Princeton.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going. It's the Irish. It's just tough. But like the heart wants to go hot. That's
it. It's incredibly hard.
That's what last week I had a lovely Penn State Duke parlay. That's all blue for me. But it's just tough. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like you're a coward not going for the Jays here. Just as my major big, money ball pick here. But I think that's good. Yeah, the Georgia slightly chalkish, but Georgetown. Well, I guess both of them are unseeded, so you can pick whatever there.
The lines are Duke -1.5, Princeton -1.5, UNC -1.5, Notre Dame -3.5. And see, that's my thing. It's like I think
there's 100% chance I'm doing the safe special where I have one team cover but the other team win. And then when it's just lovely, Jake. It's just lovely when it happens. But that would be it. It would be Hopkins to cover, Georgetown to win, North Carolina, and Princeton. I gotta go to Pennsylvania for that parlay.
That's my feeling. Is like Hopkins should. I don't think Hopkins is such an underdog that there are 2.5 more goals underdog than anybody else this weekend. Like I think they are an underdog. I think 2.5 is probably right where I would put it. I think Hopkins can win this. I think there's more they can win this game. Do I think it's probably likely? No, but I do think they're a bit under. Like, listen, if you're looking for value, I think them at 3.5 is great value.
Yeah.
All right. UNC up 11-6 on Stanford. Your women's Final Four, as it stands, is 3 Big Ten teams safe. In Chicago. Just
there's no down year in women's lacrosse in the Big Ten. That's for sure. Yeah.
Northwestern.
We may get 2 here. We may get 2 this year. So
That'd be crazy.
after all that,
If there's more Big Ten teams, if the ACC gets one Final Four team
if
out of
North
this year,
Carolina is the only ACC team, we're going to build a set for
the only ACC team. If the only ACC team comes out of the ACC quarterfinal,
either way, exactly right. Keeps arguing one of those 2. If it's the only one that comes out of all this, that'd be amazing.
Oh my god, that's like, I mean, that would be, we would have to have discussions. We have discourse, dialogue. I might petition
have a conversation.
I might petition for a redo tournament.
Reseed them. Accountability in seeding. You know,
if the Big Ten gets 2 teams in, I think Maryland should get to play as well.
That's right.
I think they should invite Maryland as a
actually, that was really good.
I think they should invite Maryland as a 15th if Penn State is not big. The Collison goal was, you know, like if that goal doesn't count, who knows what happens?
Listen, you guys got screwed twice this year. Yeah, I kind of feel bad. So.
There is that Notre Dame and UNC making. I mean, either way, it's still like there's, you know, if it's like even if the ACC one, Duke and UNC still have like it's been 10 years and 12 years. But that like a Penn State, Georgetown, Syracuse Hop Final Four would be like 4 teams who haven't won the title in the past 2 decades, which is wild. Like Penn State, Cuse, and Hopkins is like an old school, you know, like throwback Final Four, but like throwback. None of those teams have won the title in a long time. What's the best for Charlottesville? What's the 10? Would it be? I'm gonna say, yeah. Like this is crazy. We could have a Final Four where no top 5 seeds make it.
That'd be amazing.
Crazy. Notre Dame, no.
Yeah.
Notre Dame or Hop? I mean Hop.
That's the thing.
Go to Charlottesville.
I think I haven't been there since 2005. I could see a good amount of people coming there.
Either one of those.
Yeah, that's a good contingent to get there.
Cuse.
Yes, because I think North Carolina. Don't feel like North Carolina travels as much.
Cuse will travel more. Georgetown, Duke. I could see Georgetown fans. Like Georgetown they're smaller, but they're pretty rowdy.
Yeah.
If it's in Charlottesville, Final Four.
Yeah.
And then I think Penn State would.
The intelligence community, they'll all be there. The foreign service community, they're coming in. Penn State, it's not that.
Yeah, they would. I think they would show. I think they would really show up for that one. So I think Penn State, Georgetown, Cuse, and then whatever. I think that's your.
Yeah, for the gate. Yeah, that would be a great.
I'm excited. For the gate. We'll obviously talk about it more next week. I am excited for it. I'm excited for like the visuals, how I think it could look if they get a good crowd. I mean, listen, we did this. The East Hartford thing we did. The travel situation is worse right now than it was in East Hartford.
It's 60 in Jersey. That was like what? That was like, what's going on?
I don't know. I don't know how many. I mean, listen. This also, honestly, the best gate crowd might be the team's closest, honestly. I mean, Cuse fans will go to like, hey guys, let's fill up the tank at 450 for, a like 7-8 hour trip down to Charlottesville, to and down and back. Like, I mean, sheesh. No, so like an old school Final Four, I meant like in terms of
the crowd.
No, like the teams that haven't won it in a while.
Yeah.
Princeton, Hopkins, Cuse is an old school throwback Final Four, but neither of those teams have won a title in the last 2 decades. And the best crowd I think is probably Penn State, Georgetown, Cuse, Hopkins. Hopkins are, doesn't matter. Like either one of those is. But again, for Notre Dame fans, I mean, it's Notre Dame, so Notre Dame, they got people everywhere. So that helps it. But again, that's a trek, dude.
No, it's serious. I'm usually like, what am I going to do? The guy said, what am I going to walk? I mean, I do walk to work. But am I going to walk in life? No, I got to feel. But now I'm like, oh, what's that? Yeah, just 15, 20 minutes right now.
Travel is tough. I mean, it's gonna be tough, dude. Like I think it actually. I'll still say we'll talk about more next. I'll still probably say I think it'll be close to 30. Maybe at 30, but
losing both Virginia teams was a big blow. That would have
losing the Cavs was the like if Virginia was there, they might have got like 35, 40,000. Like that was the Richmond is a small. I mean Richmond. Look, they showed out for that. Don't want to knock them whatsoever, but losing Maryland is really like that would have been an easy one. I don't know. I hope it's successful. I hope it's so successful that Maryland decides they need to host it. I think getting this thing back in college stadiums, at least Philly doesn't have a college stadium that can really host it. Like, what's Philly's best college stadium? Villanova?
Maybe Franklin Field in the Penn, but
listen, Mark Dixon would freaking I don't think Franklin Field. You can't do Franklin Field. It's just too.
It's the only reason I think it's literally like 100 yards from the train station, and it is kind of a big bowl. Probably the biggest bowl in the city of college teams. Because and Ryan always say nobody in St. Joe's already in Philly. Jacksonville doesn't have a football team. And Temple does, but they play at the Link. Really, they have a stadium there, but I don't think it'd be suitable to host a Final Four.
Villanova's too small. I think so. Philly, we can keep it at the Link.
Delaware's a school. I always thought maybe they're already doing the Elite Eight. Maybe 1 year Final Four.
That stadium's not big enough. It's not big enough.
The football stadium? I thought maybe.
No, I don't think so.
I thought they were like 20,000 or something. You're probably.
No, I don't think that's. Yeah, it's 19,000.
Yeah, we need some 30,000 there.
Virginia, if the Virginia thing works, I think keeping Charlottesville in the loop is perfect. Maryland is obviously my ideal that they want to host it again. Philly would work. That's fine. There's got to be a Northeast college. Obviously Annapolis is in the mix if you ever push it back. There's got to be a Northeast college stadium we can make work instead of Foxborough.
I mean, you mean for like size? Like, yeah. I mean, Yale's got a pretty big stadium.
They do.
If Harvard ever stepped up and just did it at the football stadium, that's at least in Boston.
Harvard Stadium is a little too small, and it's old.
That's the thing. All the Ivy Leagues, they're big, but they're for the type
Franklin
of stuff, they're super old.
Franklin's too. It's just not. You can't.
It's like bleachers. It's like
it's old.
Babe Ruth walked around there. It's the whole what's Yale Stadium built? 1914.
I always mention
1913 was his starting construction.
BC maybe. It's not crazy as a stadium, but it's new. It's newish. It's the last 30 years.
It's cool. It has embraced the sport. The women's program, it's been lights out.
It's 6 miles out of Boston. That's doable as far as.
You at least going to trade there. The
Ivy stadiums are they're just too old. You can't do it. The Dome. Because the Dome. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, that's true. He can't really do it. It's Memorial. You got to be outside on Memorial Day weekend, right? I think that's probably the problem with the Dome. He kind of got to be outside. Stanford has cut this game to 3, by the way, going into the fourth quarter. These two teams played a pretty close game in the ACC championship. So Stanford, found a way to kind of hang around here. Got to stay out of the penalty box, but I think Philly, a Northeast option, not Foxborough. Like Foxborough's fine. I just think we can do a little. Basically, I don't think Baltimore, M&T Bank, and the Link are the only NFL stadiums that should host it. I think. I just don't think any of the other, like, I don't think Foxborough and like the Bill Stadium. I don't know, dude.
Red Bull Stadium is, I guess, it's hair too small, 25,000. Unless they did the thing where they packed it and it bumped up the prices a little bit, and then they make a little bit more money than they would.
I don't know if you can fit more seats in. I don't know if you can. I don't think it's like. I think that's the max. I don't know how you get more people in there.
Oh yeah, I just meant like the ticket price, bump it up.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
You do it a little bit, and then you get the 25K. Fill it. It would look wonderful.
That's the thing. Is it worth the sacrificing the? I think that's a good. I think it's worth asking. I think it is.
It has to be a professional stadium unless it's College Park or if Charlottesville work. I think College Park would be great, but that just is, it being in Maryland. But I feel like if they want the prices to be what they're trying to get out of this, the yield, the professional stadiums do give you the amenities. That's why you're smart to like knock out the Ivy stadiums. Size wise, they fit, but like they're just old. I mean, Princeton. I love Princeton.
No, you can't do like
there's literally like two. They're not even food trucks. It's just like it's something you tow behind your pickup truck where you're going across state. Like it's really just two of them for 2,500 people. You can get 2-3 minutes before halftime, get in line. You will not get back to your seat before early fourth quarter.
That's why I don't like. Rutgers is a fair shout. Like, yeah, they've done it before.
Oh yeah.
It's obviously a decent option. I think college stadiums could be nice. I think you have it's the right amount of. It's still big enough to where you can get seats in, but the way the college stadiums are built, it's not like the NFL. The NFL stadiums is just like. The lower bowls of the college stadiums are so big that it takes so much to fill them up. You got to have like 40,000 people, and so,
East Coast bias, more bone.
Yes, I mean I'm sorry. Like I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like I support as many regular season games in non-traditional windows as possible. You want to play a regular season game in California? Do it. You want to play a regular season game in Texas? Do it. You want to play one in Georgia? Do it. I support as many. I think it's good. I think regular season going out, taking a trip out there is freaking awesome. I am fully in favor of it. I do not think it makes sense. And also, to me, it's like there's a lot of things with this, but one, you should accommodate the fan bases. Like these are like it's a regional, like for better or worse, yeah, it's a regional sport. So accommodate the teams, like make it easier on the teams who are in the Final Four. I don't like what sense does it make? Last year the Final Four was a New York team, a Pennsylvania team, another New York team, and a Maryland team. What sense does it make to have them go outside the Northeast? Like, I don't think that makes sense. And also, you and me, Safe, this is a long time kind of bit of, hammer thing of ours. We don't have enough lacrosse fans in the Northeast.
Yeah.
There is plenty of there's plenty of more lacrosse fans to add in this area.
Grow the game, just grow it. Yeah, where it's already at. There's plenty of growth potential here.
You tell me what's easier, making a lacrosse fan out of somebody who lives in Maryland who isn't a lacrosse fan yet, but is exposed to it often, and hey man, you want to be what's easier? Me telling my friend he doesn't like lacrosse, hey man, you want to go see Maryland Hopkins at Homewood, and then seeing that, or finding some dude in California who is 5 hours from the closest D1 team.
Either went to the school or had a friend that goes to the school. You know what I mean? If you're from the area, especially the big time programs, big flagship universities, we've always said it for a long time running. Like, reason the numbers got so high, it was pretty much the biggest tournament besides basketball that the NCAA controlled.
Yep.
It was because it was a middle class, like, holiday weekend that you could fit in. You get reasonable tickets. The whole family can pile in the car, get to the game, maybe stay for the weekend. Come, like, as prices got higher, gas got more expensive. The
Prices went up, the economy went down.
Yeah, the 2008 is what killed Lacrosse.
Yeah. A huge reason. Yeah, it's like, listen, Mark does yeoman's work. Like, I mean, getting people in. Like, it's again, like, I'm all for, like, this is the SMU thing. This is the point. It's like, you're gonna make way more fans in Texas having SMU as a program than we are playing a Final Four in Texas. Like, it's just a matter of fact. Listen, as soon as if this ever changes, I'm all like, if all of a sudden in 10 years, if we have if SMU's got a team and there's a good SEC team or whatever, if I don't know, Georgia's got a team or whatever, sure. Like, it's just, you just got to do what makes sense for like, the Denver thing, I wasn't always totally against, because Denver did a good job with that stuff. Like Northwestern's hosting the Final Four right now, and it makes sense because, like, Northwestern, is a powerhouse. The closest thing to an isolated power, like, would so here's my thing. I think I actually think a Final Four makes more sense to me than the quarterfinals do. I'm willing to maybe explore the Final Four a little bit, because to me it's like, at least you can sell the Final Four, to your point, safe, as like a trip. Like, it's a thing you're doing. It's like a holiday weekend. It is really hard to ask, like when Maryland and Virginia played at Ohio State. What the fuck, dude? Like, Maryland and Virginia playing at Ohio State in the quarterfinals is insane. That's just utterly lunacy. The quarterfinals to me have to be in the north, in this area. Have to. Because it's like, who's attending those things? The fans. Like, literally. The Final Four, at least you can sell me on. If you told me you want to do a Final Four in Charlotte, I'm not saying, like, listen, I'm willing to try it. Okay. Like, fair. It's, listen, you got two ACC teams down there. Virginia's, they're like, you know what? I think that's fair. I think that's, like, I'm not saying it's the best idea, but it's not totally against it. If Notre Dame wanted to host the Final Four, it's a push, but you know what? Not totally, like, I see it. Or Chicago, like, I don't know, Chicago, but like, they're, I know I'm kind of like talking at both sides of my mouth a bit here, but like, I think the Final Four, I think you should keep it there. But like, if someone is willing to bid for it, then hey, like, listen, if someone wants to do it, the NCAA will do it. Like, at the end of the day, if somebody wants to go to the NCAA and say we're going to host it, like, like, they'll do it.
Listen, if you think you can just throw money at the NCAA and get what you want, you're pretty right.
Yeah. So that's like, the quarterfinals, these weekends have to be in these locations, because it's just, you're causing such a strain on, like, this, like, Denver did a great job when they hosted it. Denver was there. That was the biggest part, that was the biggest part of making it work.
Also, the ESPN wasn't available on some of the cable. I remember there's something that was like,
yes.
Like an official regional blackout, but there was something about, like, well, you're going to have to go there to see it if you're in Colorado or something.
That was a big part of it. Yeah, it's like the quarterfinals to me should 100% be in again. But then this gets to your point. It was much easier to sell it as a destination weekend before. It's a lot harder to kind of sell it as that, like, holiday weekend type thing now than it was then.
Oh,
which also adds into it. So there's a lot of reasons for why it should be here. Again, I'm willing to, in general, basically my position is this. The quarterfinals should never be outside of the hotbed areas. Period, point blank. The quarterfinals should be where the fans of there can drive to. That's it. Like, so like New York, Philly, Maryland, Richmond's hosting it. That's fine. That's No problem there. The Final Four, I don't think you should make a habit of it, but if you wanted to try it, I'm not totally against it. Let's not get maybe too crazy. The furthest I'd probably go is Chicago, if they want to do that. But like, if you want to do a Final Four in Charlotte, okay. You want to do a Final Four, Notre Dame, all right. If they wanted to do it, wouldn't make a habit of it, but like, yeah, I think once in a while, or like, you want to go up to like Buffalo or whatever. All right, I can work with it once in a while. I still think, the rotation I would do is do, New York, again, that area, and then maybe you can branch a little outside of it. That's kind of my position, I would say. Quarterfinals have to be there. Final Four, I think, should be, but I'm willing to. And regular season, go crazy, dude. You want to play a regular season game in Ireland, sure.
Riyadh, wherever.
Go play.
The TIF is paying.
Play a regular season game on Mars if you want to. As long as it's not Hopkins, Maryland, you can play.
Lincoln. That's what Navy should do. Just have a game on that. Okay.
It's a little. The Delaware one's a little. Nothing against Delaware, but it is a bit like.
I do like the sales tax. That's what
feel like where's next year? Brown and
Is it Delaware?
Is it Brown and is Richmond next year or the year after? Next year is Annapolis. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Next year is Annapolis and Brown. And then the championship's back at the link. 2028 is Hofstra and Richmond.
What are restored in 2027?
2027 might be the year I have to do the link safe.
Gotta go. We'll be in the press box. It's great. The food's great. Air conditioning. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
Remember when Chris hammered the press box slate at Brown? He was like the press box, like you had to climb up the steps to get to the press box.
Trash box.
God damn, man.
He's up.
All right, I hear you. 2028 is Hofstra and Richmond, and then the Final Four is at Foxborough. 2029, we'll see. I think they're probably waiting on this year to see how it goes. If this goes well, maybe they go back to Charlottesville if they want. Maybe they can get somebody else involved. We'll have to see. All right, friends. 12-8 UNC looks like they're going to close this one out. Could set up a Northwestern, Hopkins, Maryland, Carolina Final Four next week in Chicago. Men's quarterfinals will be this weekend. We will be back live after both days. So after the Saturday quarterfinals, me and Safe will be here. Ryan might be here. Adam probably will be here if Hopkins wins. Probably not if they lose. But we'll see. Maybe we can get him on. Maybe we can get Ryan and Adam live from the scene, in the parking lot.
If it's a repeat of 2024, I'll just do it from 129, right across the street from me, just walking through traffic.
People just looking at you. What the hell's
I just like to eat leather and joke. I want you to do it.
We will also be back Sunday for after those games, the ones from Newark. So make sure to subscribe, like this video if you haven't already. Quarterfinal weekend, best weekend of the year. I think we're gonna have some good ones. So strap in, smash the like button, subscribe. We'll see you Saturday and Sunday, and take care, everybody. Stay hydrated. Thank you, brother.
Ford, Honda, Chevy, Beamers, and minivans, over 600 cars, trucks, SUVs. Are you listening, man? Let Eastern Motors Put you in a car today. Let Eastern Motors finance it all the way.